Well, well, well. If it isn't James Hamrick saying he's first again.
Well, well, well. Gosh, that guy's so quick to the trigger. What a cool guy.
Seriously. I wonder who he is, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I just know this Jimmy Jam Texas Walker Ranger man from last week.
Not to
How's
be
the
confused
Texas
with
walking going, buddy?
Ranger man.
Dude, I'm still walking. I'm still here.
Heck yeah.
Gabe is here.
Of course he is.
Welcome, Gabe.
Why did he tune in? I just don't know.
Definitely not to talk about a certain Star Wars show.
God. James, I
No,
just
okay.
want you to know. I know you've been looking forward to this night for a very long time.
Here's the thing. That, like, obviously all the jokes and everything before have been about one show. I have a lot of thoughts about like all of the Star Wars shows. All right.
I'm very happy about that.
I've got tons of gushing to do as well. I just think that means, like, you know, I've got no agenda against any show, any thought. It's or I had no pre-agenda against any show. You know,
I was going to say, you definitely have an agenda
I
against
have
the show.
an agenda that was produced by the show's own quality.
Correct. You wanted to like it. I remember.
I wanted to love it. I was hyped.
Pumped. You were pumped. I remember. I love how we're shrouding it in secrecy.
Let's go ahead and get the intro out of the way.
Let's freaking go.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Banter Fodder podcast. I'm your host, Drew, joined by my co-hosts. That's a new one. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jimmy Jam, the Walker Texas Ranger man, and Michael Hoover Dam. That's how you know we're doing this live.
We'll do it live.
Guys, how you been the last week?
Been good. Painted our bathroom today.
Nice.
That's a big deal. It doesn't sound like one, but it's a big deal. It's not
like, did you actually paint it? Or are you making a poop joke right now?
I actually did paint with actual paint.
Nice.
The bathroom.
Good. Good, honestly. Yeah. The
people that we bought the house from they did not do a good job, and they painted with the kind of paint that doesn't protect from mildew and mold, and let's just say it was disgusting. So got rid of that stuff, and I painted it today, and it looks fresh and clean like a bathroom should.
Nice.
So I'm feeling good, accomplished on my day off. So
nice.
Cool. What about you, Jimmy Jam?
It's been nice. I had my older sister and her family come in from Indiana, so we've been, and she's a huge reason that I got like as into film as I am. So we've been having a fun time hanging out. We're not next week, but the week after, we've got a big Universal Studios trip with the whole family as well. So I'm very excited about that.
Jealous.
It'll be the first Banter Fodder meetup. So if you want to meet Jimmy Jam at Universal Studios, now's your chance. Oh man.
What if like
awesome.
Hundreds of fans surrounded you and we'd be like, wait, we have this many listeners?
Oh yeah.
And all of them just love Jimmy Jam?
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. But yeah, what have you guys been watching this last week? Michael, we'll start with you.
Oh, not a whole lot. I did start Firefly. That was since the last episode, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I started. I watched the pilot and episode 2 of Firefly for the first time, and I really, I think I said this last time. I really do think I already mentioned this, but I love it. I think I'm gonna really love it. This show seems made for me. I've been continuing my How I Met Your Mother binge. I'm in like season 5 of that, and then I I really haven't been watching very much stuff, to be honest with you. I've been so busy. But I didn't go to the theater. I haven't seen F1 yet, which is driving me insane that I haven't got to see it yet, but it looks so good. I'm so excited for it. Honestly, super excited for this month with movies. I think it has the potential to be a really fun month.
Yeah.
So
I'm really looking forward to seeing the Odyssey trailer for Jurassic World, and that's the only reason why I want to see it.
Listen, I will see Jurassic World. Yes, Jurassic Park 1 is the obvious king, and it is an all-time great. The rest of them, if there's fun dinosaur killing people fun to be had, I'm there. I'm not going to complain. Now, Dominion was terrible, but fun was still had at times. So I'm there. I'm there for it. I am much more excited about all the other movies, though. F1, Fantastic Four, Superman, which me and James are potentially meeting up for with our friend Josh, and our friend Justin, which is going to be fun. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, super excited about that stuff. But this is all hopeful this week's and next week things. I haven't been watching very much otherwise. So
nice. Yeah. Firefly is an incredible show. So I'm excited that you're watching.
Sorry. Yeah. Gabe said, been waiting all week for Firefly updates. So inconsiderate. Yeah. It's just because there haven't been any more episodes watched. I will update. I promise. I know you're excited about me watching that show, Gabe.
It's great.
It really is. Once you watch that, then you should definitely watch Cowboy Bebop.
After you watch Serenity.
Oh my God, there's so many things I have to watch.
Jimmy Jam, what have you been watching?
So I've stuck with my zombie theme. So I watched World War Z, a rewatch, which I think is underrated. World War Z is like, it's one of the, I mentioned it on last episode that like 28 weeks is like, it's not great. And I actually like World War Z better than 28 weeks. But what they both have in common is like neither are really swinging for the fences. They're just they land on the more generic end of zombie stuff. But I really like generic end of zombie stuff of like, we got to get from here to there. And there's a lot of zombies. Now we got to get from here to there. And there's a lot of zombies. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is good. But I also just think it's really well made. Some really cool shots, some sequences that are really memorable. So yeah, I watched that, enjoyed it. And I did that with a double feature of that and The Dead Don't Die from Jim Jarmusch. That was so disappointing. I've only seen Patterson from him. It stars Adam Driver, and it's a lovely little movie. Not amazing, but it's just a nice time. It's just like kind of a truck driver whose name is Patterson, and he lives in a city of Patterson. And it's just him loving poetry, trying to write his own poetry, super slice of life, finding beauty in the small things, that kind of stuff. You know, it's just a nice time. And I really disliked The Dead Don't Die. It feels really, when people say pretentious, usually I'm like, it just means it was slow and it wasn't like what you usually go out and see. It's not pretentious. This to me is one of those movies that I'm like, it kind of feels pretentious. Like this movie feels in love with itself. It's like it's in love with its own wit, but it doesn't really have a lot of wit to me. It's like it's dry humor, and I usually love dry humor.
Is this a Wes Anderson movie?
Shut up, Michael. No, this is like
I'm back.
Wes Anderson is fantastic. This
couldn't help myself.
This is just so unfunny, and it has like its ideas, but it drills them into the ground, and it knows that it drills into the ground, and it acts like it knowing it does that means it gets to get away with it. Like, you know, like if a movie is really, really preachy and but it doesn't know it. You're just like, gosh, this movie is trying to get its idea across, but it's so ham-fisted, you know. This movie is doing that, but it also has like the self-awareness of like, I know I'm doing it, so you can't even call me out on it. I'm like, you're still doing it. Like it doesn't make it okay just because you're like, yeah, I know I'm doing it. So I don't know. It was really frustrating, really unfunny, really boring for long stretches of time. So that was a huge disappointment because the cast is Adam Driver, Bill Murray, Steve Buscemi, Danny Glover, Austin Butler. Like, this thing had a cast, and it was just wasted. And then last, I watched the 3-part episode, but it's collected as one. Like they recognize it as a movie on Letterboxd. The Batman Superman movie, World's Finest. I watched the first couple seasons of Batman the Animated Series, and now I'm working my way through the first couple seasons of Superman the Animated Series. And this arc of them meeting is really fun. And I'm realizing that I'm actually putting myself in a dangerous situation because I think that like Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly are so good, and not just their performances, but just the writing here of like their dynamic, like Batman and Superman's dynamic here. And then there's a lot of really good Clark and Bruce stuff in this as well. All of this is so good that I'm now like, this is what I want. Like, this is exactly what I want. And I know like they're going to want to be different because nobody just wants to recreate. Like, you're going to want to do your own thing. I'm just worried. I'm like, whenever Batman eventually comes out, I'll be like, this wasn't as good as World's Finest. So I don't know. They've perfected the characterization for these characters. Like the arc itself was like fun and good, but like the real memorable part is just how perfect these depictions of these characters are, even to like the villain, like Clancy Brown as Lex and Mark Hamill as Joker, obviously. Like, it's just this whole voice cast and the writing for them and how they just nail like the specific dialogue for each. It's such a good time. So really enjoyed that.
Nice. Yeah.
Very nice,
I love all of the animated series, including Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
I'm so ready to get to those.
Yeah. I really need to start getting on getting back to my rewatch of Batman the Animated Series so I can get to Superman the Animated Series.
Only animated Batman I've seen is Mask of the Phantasm, and honestly, I like batting 1,000 on that. It's so freaking good.
It really is amazing. I watched that for the first time this year, and I
watched it in theaters when they re-released it for whatever anniversary.
So jealous.
Was it a year or two ago? And that was the first time for me, and it was an awesome experience. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, you definitely, whenever you get a chance, I know it's another show to add on to your list, but Batman the Animated Series.
Okay, so what is this? 58 today.
Step on it.
So I haven't been doing a whole lot of watching lately. Haven't watched any movies since we last spoke. I have been watching or rewatching Smallville.
Dude, I'm so excited for you.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for you.
I watched it a good amount growing up. I never finished the show though because I never owned it, and I only watched it, when it would air on TV. So, or at like a friend's house. So I never got to watch the entirety of the series. Thankfully, it has the benefit of being, case of the week, monster of the week, adventure of the week. In this case, metahuman of the week. And
I'm gonna love this show.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna love this show.
I am all about classic. I say classic because the classic formula of TV shows where you have like 20 plus episodes, adventure of the week. You have an underlying plot that's kind of building up in the background. I'm a massive fan of that, and I think Smallville does it really well. I know it's formulaic, but I like that aspect of it. I like knowing that
formulas are good, bro.
Exactly. It's like I know what I'm getting myself into because it starts off really strong. And so, there might be some episodes here and there where I'm like, it's all right, or I didn't really like that one. But I mean, it's got lovable characters. The formula is fun. The early 2000s is so nostalgic, and
love that era.
the music
So
is
good.
incredible. Like, it's not just the theme song is incredible, but there's also great music just sprinkled throughout the episodes. Like, it's fantastic. The second or third episode has Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz, and I was like bopping my head. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. But I also think it handles the characters really well. I love this depiction of Clark. This is easily my favorite live action up until now. Live action Lex Luthor.
So good, dude. Michael Rosenbaum killed it.
He's fantastic. And then I love the Smallville setting. Like, I've been reading, so this is what I was going to segue into. I've been reading a lot of comics lately, and I've been reading a lot of Superman, but also some other characters. I just, before we hopped on the stream, I finished Superman Birthright, which is fantastic. And it came out a few years after Smallville, and Mark Waid does a few similar things with some of the characters, mainly with like Lex and Superman's or Clark's relationship, and also the kind of setting of Smallville. And I think Smallville is like so central to the character, and I think that aspect has been missing from a lot of the live action stuff. So I'm really hoping that James Gunn's Superman leans heavily into that, because Smallville is a fortress of solitude for Superman and or Clark Kent, and I think I need that in live action, man. So I love Smallville as a setting in the show, and just getting to know all these characters. Lana Lang is a super underrated character in the comics, and it's fun.
I had the biggest crush on her.
It's fun having her be like one of the central characters in this show. So I'm a huge fan. I can't wait to keep watching it. But yeah, outside of that, I haven't really been watching much. I mentioned it last week, but I watched 28 Years Later on the big screen the last time we recorded. And that movie's awesome. I'm not really going to say much more than that because I already did last time. But the reason why I bring that up is because I saw it with a bunch of our friends, and one of those friends being Ryan. And tomorrow, if you're tuning in for the live stream, tomorrow we're releasing our collab episode it was just James collaborating with Ryan, but Ryan has a podcast called Super Smash Cast, and he's going through all these Nintendo games, specifically characters and their games that show up in Super Smash Bros. And James and Ryan had a discussion on the upcoming Legend of Zelda movie. And so we're finally releasing that episode tomorrow. So if you're on the podcast feed, keep an eye out for that because it's dropping tomorrow. For all of you who are going to be listening to this on the podcast feed, I think this episode is probably going to release after that episode has released. So just go back and listen to it. And all of that, the links for everything will be in the description below. And in that description is our Facebook group, Banter Fodder, a film and television discussion group. You should join it. It's a really fun community where we talk about movies and television and keep you up to date on the podcast. So now brings us to our topic for the day, which is the state of Star Wars. So
TV.
Yeah, the state of Star Wars TV. Sorry, I was getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Specific, Drew.
But I mean, like, honestly, that kind of is the state of Star Wars.
Oh God, that is so true.
Not for much longer.
That's actually a great point.
But
you're like, no, I said that on purpose.
Yeah, it's been the state of Star Wars for the last
6 years.
6 years, yeah, which is crazy. So this will be like kind of capping out our month of Star Wars. So you won't be hearing Star Wars again for a long time in a galaxy far away.
At least a month.
Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah. I feel like every episode we have, there's always a mention of Star Wars in some way. So it'll happen again.
It's so important to us. It's been so much fun covering Star Wars with you guys. It felt like,
yeah,
it did kind of feel like the old days on the Star Wars podcast again. It was so It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
3-hour conversations about Star Wars.
Gabe said it's weird because we have almost no Star Wars TV on the way, and they're ramping up movies again. Yeah, I never even like really thought about that before. I know there are like Star Wars shows on the way. They've just been kind of radio silent. I know we'll probably get some animated stuff.
I mean, it's a smaller quantity though.
Oh yeah, which
it is a smaller quantity, which is good. That they needed to do that, and one of them is the Mall show, which is pretty exciting.
And the other is season 3 of Visions, which James still needs to watch.
Seriously exciting.
Yeah. Man,
Star Wars can still be exciting even if it's not canon.
We've already talked about how we've got like 80 shows we're all trying to watch. All right, I gotta prioritize.
All right,
these are like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
long.
they really are really short episodes.
They're shorts, bro.
Gosh, this guy sucks.
Boo, you stink.
Boo this man. But yeah, anyways, so Star Wars has been stuck in television limbo for 6 years now. And I figured we'd start off with just kind of some general thoughts on, thoughts?
Sorry,
I've got a friend that does.
I met your mother, dude. I'm deep into it.
Yes, sir. I thought we'd go ahead and start off with just kind of our general thoughts on the last 6 years of Star Wars, and then kind of just from there take a little bit of a deep dive, not a super deep dive, but like just kind of talk about like each show that we've seen and the things we love about it, the things we don't like, and then at some point we'll kind of mention where Star Wars is heading and how we're feeling about that. So let's start off with just like our general thoughts. I'll go ahead and start because I'm the host and I should go first.
He's pulling rank.
Pulling rank.
So the Rise of Skywalker happened, and it was disappointing for like almost everyone, but right around that time another Star Wars thing came out, which was The Mandalorian, and I was pretty dang hyped for that, because one, The Mandalorians have always been, ever since Knights of the Old Republic, have been one of my favorite parts of Star Wars lore. I think that the Mandalorians have like the coolest culture in all of Star Wars. Their armor is awesome. They're just like, a bunch of badasses. I love
just declaring war. And
I love violence on my own people. So fun. But yeah, like I don't know. I think they just have some of the richest writing in like extra material of Star Wars outside of the like main trilogies. And so I was excited for this show to happen. I think it was about time for getting like a bounty hunter centric show, like Outer Rim, Underworld kind of stuff. So I was really excited. And I'm like, oh, they're using new technology with the volume. That's cool, right? And it is, and it was, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I was pumped for this. Pedro Pascal was announced as the leading actor. I'm like, okay. And then they announced like all the different directors that they were getting. Taika Waititi, which at the time was really exciting because Love and Thunder hadn't come out. But it was also super weird because he's never done anything like that before. Obviously, Ragnarok is a blockbuster, but it's not Star Wars, right? So I was like, that's interesting. But I was just super intrigued and excited. The concept art was cool. The trailers were cool. Show came out, and I was like fully locked in, totally into it. And it kind of got me past that like lull of like, oh, well, we're not going to have another movie for a really long time, if ever. And, we kind of ended on something that was very disappointing. So it was nice to feel excited for something Star Wars again in such a short turnaround. So
I was excited for, more Star Wars. And we got a lot more Star Wars, but specifically on TV only for the last 6 years. And there's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows for me. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I think overall, like, I'd say I'm generally more positive with the last 6 years, but I'm at the point now where I'm kind of ready to move past like what we've experienced the last 6 years, because we got a lot of Star Wars shows and not all of them hit for me. And so it kind of sucks going from The Rise of the Skywalker to a really cool show to a not really cool show to a really cool show, and like just this back and forth ever since The Rise of Skywalker. James, what about you? Give me some general thoughts.
Yeah, so I guess my thoughts on Star Wars TV before then was all universally positive because it was Clone Wars and Rebels. And I love Clone Wars and Rebels. I was very excited going into live action Star Wars TV. The season 1 started before Rise of Skywalker came out.
Right before, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so we got a few episodes, and they got to tease Rey's healing ability through Grogu, which was kind of neat. A nice little prep for that. And so I was following everything leading up to it, watching everything I could, and I really liked it a lot. Like just that one, the music, immediate entry into like the canon of Star Wars music, immediate.
Freaking great.
The shot of like the cantina doors opening up with his silhouette there is like, again, an immediate entry into like Star Wars images, and the reveal of Baby Yoda at the time, it just had everybody going like, what? So it was just super fun. And the episode 2 is so good with like the Jawas and stuff. So season when he threatens to incinerate them in that episode, I die laughing. So start to finish, I just really enjoyed season 1 a lot, and I was like, this is off to a promising start for Disney Plus. I was an immediate adopter for Disney Plus, but it was basically just Star Wars Plus for me. Like that's what it was, and in a lot of ways, what it still is. I'm here for the Star Wars. So since then, kind of what Drew said, it's just been highs and lows. We've got some great highs. We've got some low lows, and then we've got some stuff in between. That's like, yeah, I like that while I watch that. So it's unfortunately, their quality control is pretty out of whack on Disney Plus. So you just sometimes you get something great, and sometimes you get something crap, and sometimes you get something in between. So that's kind of where it's at. I'm happy to be moving away from TV. We can continue with animation. I'm excited for Maul, but I think now is a good time for them to move on. And if they do start revisiting, which, we're probably getting Ahsoka season 2, or we are getting Ahsoka season 2. So it's not like we're totally gone. Mando is kind of up in the air if it's returning after the movie. So we've got at least one more season of live action TV, but they've also been more than just live action, because we did get the last season of Clone Wars, and we got the Bad Batch, and
Bad Batch, baby.
We got Resistance. So it's not all live action, though. Obviously, live action has dominated the conversation, but I really like the Bad Batch, and Siege of Mandalore is like S tier Star Wars. So again, highs and lows.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're all going to be in agreement about a lot of this stuff. At least, I am right there with you guys when the Rise of Skywalker came out, or right before the Rise of Skywalker came out, Mando started, and I could not have been more excited. What's crazy is this is how late I got to the animated series. I did not know anything about Mandalorians when I started The Mandalorian because I had not seen the Clone Wars yet.
Didn't play Knights of the Old Republic either, apparently. Gosh.
Nope. I have not. So I had no knowledge or anything like that. It just looked freaking sick. That like literally that's that I was the audience that is Star Wars fan, but I did not know anything about Mandalorians at all. So I was just going off of what I was seeing, and it looked really cool. Watching The Mandalorian actually made me want to watch the Clone Wars because I kept being told, dude, you got to watch the Clone Wars. There's and Rebels. There's so much stuff on the Mandalorians and stuff like that. And so I did. I basically right as soon as the Mandalorian started, I got on the animated series. So many thanks to the Mandalorian for that. But yeah, man, when that first season came out, it really did it was like Star Wars fandom was unified for like a minute. It was really nice. Somehow they kept the Baby Yoda thing a secret. Like none of us had any idea. There was nothing. There was no leaks or anything. And that was a magical moment. And Baby Yoda was on everything. He was iconic instantly. And so
everyone's speculating like what the heck is happening? Who is this? Is this actually Yoda? The Star Wars theories from freaking Mike Zero like were maybe true.
Oh, Mike Zero. So yeah, that was such a fun time. And by the you mentioned Taika Waititi's episode. He did a great job. He did the finale of season 1. And his I always think of his episode as really emotionally rewarding, but also I think of the stormtroopers.
Yeah,
they are so funny.
Yeah.
I think one of them is Jason Bateman, if I'm not mistaken.
Jason Sudeikis.
Okay, yeah. It was a Jason comedian. But yeah, I thought that episode was so good, and then leading into season 2, the hype was so high, and it started with Jon Favreau's episode with the Marshal.
Phenomenal.
Seeing a crate dragon finally.
Saw a crate dragon. Cool. It was so sick. It was such a fun episode,
and the scale was like surprisingly really good for being on the volume.
Well, and that's one of the big things too. As we get into this discussion, we're going to talk about the volume a lot. The Mandalorian uses the volume better than anyone. I mean, they kind of started it on Disney Plus, and nobody uses it as well as them. Like to me, this show works on the volume. It just does. Like I very rarely, there are a few times, but very rarely do I think about it on this show. They just know what they're doing for the most part. And so I think that the hype for season 2 was unreal. And that season was interesting because it was like this balance of really, I felt like it was good character work. And it was like, what cameo are we going to get this week? It was like this weird thing where I'm not usually into that kind of thing, but I was getting sucked into it even. Yeah. I was
season 2 is my favorite. I think season 2.
Yeah. Season 2 is fantastic. Bo-Katan coming up in, was it 3rd episode? I can't remember. But when Bo-Katan showed up, I freaked out. Because at that point I had watched everything. So I
went full on Glub Shido for everybody else around us.
Yeah. 100%, dude. 100%.
It's Bo-Katan.
It's
the heck are you talking about?
And one thing I want to say real quick, and we'll get more into this later, but the Star Wars TV shows, like moving on, had kind of gotten into a problem. And even Mando was like, a contributor to this, but like it made the galaxy feel almost a little bit small because we got so many cameos from characters. but I feel like season 2 did it really well, and especially with Bo-Katan being like a big
she is
character.
a Mandalorian.
Yeah, she's a
Kinda has to
Mandalorian.
show
She's
up.
the Mandalorian, you know.
Yeah.
So it was
And
like
they
it made sense.
they picked good ones that make sense. Like Boba Fett makes sense because because they kind of made it to where his he is related to them ancestrally or whatever. Like they kind of made that happen with his dad. And then yeah, then they had a couple of big ones in the last half of the season with Ahsoka and then obviously Luke at the end. Finally my Luke, I roll. But yeah, I think that it ended really well. So I thought from that point on, I was just basically, we had season 1 of that, we had season 7 of the Clone Wars, and we had season 2 of Mando, and I was like, man, Star Wars on TV is awesome, only awesome. And then from that point on, it was a lot of hit and miss because they decided to instantly bring Grogu back to Mando in the Book of Boba Fett, which was an interesting decision on many fronts. But it totally took the air out of that finale of season 2. The Boba Fett show had its moments, but ultimately, like when it's about Boba Fett, it is really boring. And there are fun moments for sure, but they don't really involve Boba Fett at all. And so Boba Fett was really, really, I think that was my first letdown of the Disney Plus streaming era with the shows. But yeah, lots of up and down, and I do feel like generally speaking, they did fall into after season 2 of The Mandalorian, because like you said, Drew, I think they did it really well that season. But after that, I did feel like Star Wars kind of became, and fans expected and basically were like, if we don't see people we know, this sucks. Like it's basically, if you don't meet my expectations of seeing someone that I know and love, then what are we even doing here? And it felt like they were trying to it felt like they were playing to that too often. And like you said, Drew, it did. It made it feel, Star Wars is a huge universe, but it feels really small when you constantly run into people that you know from other shows and stuff like that. And so, obviously there are plenty of times when that happens and it's great. Like I loved in the Bad Batch when we meet young Hera, you get a whole story about them helping you get a 2-parter on Ryloth. It doesn't even include the Bad Batch on one of the episodes. It's all about Ryloth. And so you get the 2-parter there, and you actually get some character backstory on Hera. That's using that well, right? But then you get stuff that's just like a wink to the audience all the time, and it did kind of feel like they got sucked into that a bit too much. And so going forward, I do just really hope, we've talked about it a little bit, but we are getting less television, and we're starting to head closer to going back to the theater. I think Star Wars belongs on the big screen. It being away from the big screen for so long, while it's fine, we can wait as long as we're waiting for something good. That's great. But it being on the small screen only for so long has kind of almost diluted. I think it's diluted the brand a good bit. And then also, I do think one major issue in Star Wars right now is that not only are we stuck on the small screen with a bunch of characters that are from other TV shows, diluting it and everything, but also we are stuck in these filling in gaps of time that we visited over and over and over, and we haven't moved forward at all, or like way, way back, except for one show that did not go well, which I'm sure might get talked about tonight. But yeah, so I think Star Wars going forward, like for me, I I'm hopeful because of some of the stuff that's been announced, movie wise and TV wise already, that I'm pretty excited about. But I do hope that Star Wars starts to move beyond the Skywalker saga, move forward, create new characters that we know and love, and then build out that world. And let's let's stop relying on filling in these gaps of time even more. Like, hey, between those two movies, there's still a couple of years we haven't touched yet. We're good with that stuff for the most part. I would like to see some new territory. So that's kind of where I'm hoping that we start going soon. While also knowing that we're always going to be mining the old stuff. It's just going to happen. But if we could just balance that, it would be great.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely at a point where it's like, we talked about it, on our Force Awakens episode, but like there's so much like between episode 6 and episode 7 that was untouched, and thankfully they filled in some gaps now, but there's still a lot that hasn't been really like tapped into.
I know exactly what James wants to say right now.
Oh yeah, they filled in
a
1 year gap with about 6 years worth of events. It's the stupidest thing ever. They've set all of their live action stuff of like the post Return of the Jedi stuff in 9 ABY for reasons that elude anybody of rationale. Like, it's what a stupid thing. We should be like starting at 9 is a great idea. We should have been taking year by year steps this whole time.
Yeah.
And then whenever it was realized, like whenever it was just known that like, oh, by the way, Mando season 1 is the earliest of this era. Skeleton Crew is the latest of this era. They're both 9, like they're both the year 9. Like, that is indescribably stupid.
Yeah.
And they mentioned like Luke was supposed to have like trained Grogu for like a while, and
a long while.
What a stupid decision.
He had a little Jedi training trip that he took for a couple of weeks.
Had a little weekend getaway.
Yeah.
What a dumb thing.
Oh
yeah,
man, it bugs me so much. Yeah.
So, but the point I was trying to get at, it's like, I would like if they did a, like one animated show filling in the gaps.
Yeah.
The movies moving forward are going way, way in the past, not tied to anything.
I'm with you. I think that gap is too big. There should be something more.
It worked. It really worked with Rebels. And the movies releasing, even though they were set in different time periods, but it works going back and filling in that gap. They've proven it. I think they absolutely could make a great animated series.
Dude, animation doesn't miss for the most part. They just are so good, except for Resistance.
Yeah, but that's not like a real animated show. It has a different animation style, so it's not real. Yeah, but I like that we're kind of taking a shift into a little bit less output, because I think it'll make Star Wars feel more special. But with them taking that approach now, I just hope that they're going to have a lot more quality control. My biggest worry is that they're not going to, because it's like, I want Star Wars to feel special. I don't want to have a show come out that sucks, and then, like 6 months later, a movie comes out, So I hope that they can find the right balance, and I hope they can get the right quality control in. But also, like, as much as I'm excited for the Maul show, like, come on, man, just fill in that gap. Like, why are you going back?
Oh yeah, between Solo and Rebels, is that the?
Yeah, I think
Which gap are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Force Awakens.
Like, that gap.
Building up
Yeah.
It's
like, there's still a Maul gap I need fixed because it bothers me to no end. Ending Solo with "Come to me" on Dathomir, and then the next time we see him, he's the Wandering Hermit. That bothers me. Like, he's like peak of Crimson Dawn, and with no lore explanation, he has nothing.
Yeah,
that bothers me.
Well,
I get why they're doing
maybe
it,
we'll see it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you, Drew. It's like it's really frustrating to have this trilogy of movies that at least I know that The Last Jedi is super divisive, Rise of Skywalker is super divisive. Well, I don't know, that one's pretty much agreed on. It sucks. It sucks to have that trilogy that has so much potential and could really benefit from having it built out through animated shows or whatever, and they just won't touch it. They won't go near it with a 10-foot pole. It's like they're just they tiptoe up to it with the Bad Batch, just to try to explain for the life of them, just to get some sort of explanation in on Palpatine coming back.
It's why are they building up the right? Like, I mean, I know why they're doing it with Palpatine, and I'm glad they are. But why was their first choice being like, what if we go to the Rise of Skywalker and start building up from there? And
because that's the one that needs it, if we're being honest.
It is the one that needs it. Well, and then the next one needs to be, because James is right, that one needs it as bad as others.
I know it does, but
The Force Awakens, we need the New Republic. We need the New Republic built up. We need to see Kylo Ren training.
Yeah,
we need
Kylo
the
Ren stuff.
First Order. We need the Knights of Ren. We need Snoke. We need this stuff.
I already know about Snoke. He made Snoke. What more do you need? I mean, come on.
You're right. We saw the tubes. That's my bad.
Like, honestly, like one animated show that like I know has like it's not my original idea. It's gotten talked a lot about before, but honestly, I'd love to see it. I know there was a lot of talk about people wanting to see like a Luke and young Kylo or young Ben Solo like team up show.
Call it Lil Kylo.
Yeah. That would be like the perfect way to show, you know, everything leading up to that vision that Luke gets, you know, like I feel like that would help people, even though I don't think that they should need the help, but it would help people.
Even if they did tales for those, like tales of the New Republic or whatever, just like something, dip the toes in, like just start. Animation in the sequel trilogy could be sick, dude. It could be really cool.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah. I'm
James,
kind
what
of
were you gonna say? Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, I'm kind of jealous, or not jealous. I'm kind of selfish in terms of like what I want from animation, because like for me, I would watch the Luke Ben thing definitely if it came out. But for me, that was never an issue. I think that's one of the greatest arcs of all of Star Wars. It's like just everything that happens with them. I just think with Rise of Skywalker, the trilogy is broken. Like, if I were to ask somebody, what was the First Order's purpose? Like, what was his purpose? What was this war for?
It's like the Empire.
But what were they doing? What was this war waged over? If he had the Sith Eternal and this whole army before, what was the First Order ever for? Like,
what were the resistance resisting?
Yeah,
and why?
It's the war is nonsense. There's so much of this trilogy is utter nonsense to me now. And so I hate, it feels so like anti-art, but I just feel like I'm like, all right, shows, you got war. Like, yes, we want to be good and artistic and thoughtful and all that, But right now, priority number one is freaking make this work for me. All right. I am just wanting all of these shows to bear the burden of making this movie work. Because I can't like Star Wars marathons are such a bittersweet thing to envision because they're always going to end with Rise of Skywalker. And it's like, I need to at least be able to accept it, because by the time that thing ends, I'm like, I don't know what Palpatine wanted. I don't know what the whole war was over. Did Luke? I'm so confused. I don't know. Like, you come to the end of this hundreds of hour marathon and you're like, I don't know why half this crap happened now.
Yeah.
So it needs to be fixed.
You're right. It just doesn't. There's so many things that just don't make any sense. Like, really, the Resistance should be part of the First Order. Because the Resistance is resisting the current power, is it not? Right? So I don't know. I'm just very. It's literally just like it. Here's what it is. Literally, it's the new Rebels, and it's the new Empire.
Yeah.
For reasons. Period. And it sucks and that's why I need something to touch on the New Republic.
Yeah.
I need
the New Republic, and I need the First Order. I want a political show that somehow against all odds.
Okay, here's a fun question. I don't know if we can answer this with on the spot. Okay, if there's a character to go in there on like this, we just had basically that with Andor. We just had a really great political thriller looking into the formation of the rebellion and the Empire. What character could you do that through the eyes of, but for the New Republic era?
Whoever Leia sends in the deleted scenes for The Force Awakens, I think a kind of mid-level, somebody who has access to somebody like General Organa, but is kind of her feet on the ground, going back and forth whenever Leia's like off doing resistance stuff. I feel like she's like low enough to have to get tangled up in the bureaucracy of it all and be frustrated, like a POV that can really sell the sense of frustration with the complacency, but high enough to be able to have regular contact with people like Leia or Mon Mothma,
Dude, I was literally gonna say, who you could do is Mon Mothma. Could be really interesting, actually.
That would be a sad show, though, because I feel like really she's got to be part of the complacency.
She has to lose this. So yeah, it would be sad, but that's her whole life, bro.
Yeah. I also think Poe Dameron needs to be a big character as well, since he's like, the captain of the Resistance.
General.
Yeah.
General.
And like that, just writes itself. Like, he's got so much charisma that, like, Oscar Isaac is freaking fantastic. So, I just really think that they have so much here that they could actually make something compelling, but they're just not touching it. I don't know why. Because
what's the fix? I don't know. I don't know if I was in a writer's room for a week. I don't know how I'd fix that trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame anyone. I certainly don't envy the person that decides to
Disney
try.
And they have infinite resources, all right? Their infinite resources got them into this.
Yeah. Yeah. They business-wise, like, I can see, I mean, think about it. When The Force Awakens started, they weren't touching the prequels with a 10-foot pole. Think about all the prequel stuff we've gotten since then. But like, when the prequels, like when Disney bought the prequels, they weren't, or when Disney bought Star Wars, they weren't touching the prequels. They wanted to pretend they didn't happen.
So we're waiting about 15 years, and then we're going to get some good sequel content.
Probably. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
That actually sounds right.
Honestly, that's what I'm kind of saying. And, if I have to wait that long and something is good, okay.
Yeah.
Like if it's a good enough thing, I can wait patiently, I suppose, but it's right there. There's so much rich storytelling right there. At least on the front half. I totally get not wanting to touch the Palpatine stuff, but I really think I don't know if I'm a writer, I want to deal with the New Republic stuff. That sounds really interesting to me. That's some fertile ground for storytelling.
Yeah, to me, a show focusing on like, especially if so much of the New Republic are people who lived through the Empire, you could really focus on that desire of like the willingness to not believe, because you're like, we can't go through this again.
Yeah.
Like it's basically like the White Council in Middle Earth, where like after everything that goes down with Sauron and all of like, the necromancy and all of this shows up, people just being like, you weren't there. This can't be that. It can't be happening again. And just choose to not believe it. Like if it was a show like that, where it's just people being like, I can't put myself through that. I can't even believe it's happening. So it's not. I feel like that could be like an Andor-esque show of
Or Harry
era.
Potter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that idea of just like, no, he can't happen. It can't happen. I was there when it happened. It can't happen again.
He's back.
Yeah. Gosh.
What do y'all think about the shows that? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
It is gonna completely change the topic.
That's fine, because I was gonna change the topic too, but I want to hear what you were gonna say.
I was just saying, we kind of made it a Rise of Skywalker episode for a little bit. What are, I guess to be more specific, what are some thoughts on some particular shows that are like that we've already got, like this Disney Plus era of shows?
Well, I think
have to be Disney Plus era, or just Disney era. That does eliminate Rebels if you're saying Disney Plus. That's the only reason.
I think like
I think we should say Disney Plus, because we all know and love Rebels. There's nothing to say except for that. We all love
and
it.
I'd love for
so
us
much
to like have like a proper Rebels episode at like a later point. But yeah, I think like keeping this more focused on the Disney Plus stuff, just because it pertains more to like the actual state of Star Wars television right now and Star Wars as a whole.
Cool, got it.
Yeah, so I think I already like talked about all the stuff that I liked about Mando, or some of the things I liked about Mando, but I kind of want to talk about the stuff that I don't like about Mando, because it actually is kind of tied to all of the other shows that I have problems with. So and this is gonna make me sound like I hate Mando, and I really don't, because I absolutely love Mando. But it's kind of like this domino effect. That's it's just this rippling effect that's kind of tainted all of Star Wars television for me, except for Andor and the Bad Batch. But one of the big problems that I've had with Star Wars television these last 6 years is, for some reason, with The Mandalorian and then a lot of other shows, they've kind of hand the keys off to, yes. They hand the keys off to actors or like people who don't have experience directing, or people who don't have experience directing in live action. And for The Mandalorian, it can make some of the episodes feel really jarring in terms of quality, with direction. And I think a lot of that, I'd say a huge part of that, is probably just because they're within the constraints of using the volume technology. And I think that's been one of like the biggest blessings, but also curses about Star Wars television, and just Disney Plus television as a whole. There's a lot of cool things about that technology. Greg Fraser and Jon Favreau were two of the people who pioneered it. They pioneered it with Epic Games. They collaborated with them to use Unreal Engine to be able to make all this cool stuff. And there's like some truly incredible technology, and there's amazing things that have come out of it. Dune Part 2, Greg Fraser used Epic Games to create renders of the shots that he wanted to have. They didn't use volume technology, but he used Unreal Engine to create these renders of, like, you know, where they wanted to shoot the shots, how they wanted to frame it, the locations, what the lighting would be like. I think that's incredible. It's like, you know, using Blender and architecture and stuff like that. Like, they're just kind of blueprinting how they want to shoot the things. I think that's awesome.
It sounds like a natural evolution of what George Lucas was already basically doing.
Yeah, like it's like a natural step forward between like George Lucas and then also stuff that James Cameron did with the Avatar films. Yep. I'm always, you know, new technology, I'm always excited to learn about. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff that they do with it. And even in Mando and some of the other Star Wars shows, there's some times where like the volume technology is cool and they were able to use it in interesting ways. But I think overall, like, it is so restrictive, and it's kind of forced them into this weird box of them kind of like reverting back to the prequels, which is weird because the sequel trilogy was all about practical effects. And then we get to Mando and now the rest of the Star Wars TV shows, and they're like, hey, what if we actually didn't do that? What if we didn't have real sets and we just had, you know, a few boxes and crates here and there, and then a digital background? And yes, I know
the set that is made up of like 6 boxes and then a digital background is egregious. The amount of times we see that.
Yeah, it's rough. It's so noticeable.
What about when it's rocks and a few?
Whoa! Now that's epic.
There we go. Or sand, a little sand.
That's usually absolutely terrible.
Oh man, you can really see it in the sand.
Yeah. You can see exactly where the real sand ends, and you can like trace a line.
There's one particular shot in the Book of Boba Fett. It's like a night shot in the sand, and I just remember thinking, "Oh no, that looks so bad." I see it right there.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like it sucks because you go from like all of the sequel trilogy, including the Rise of the Skywalker. Yeah, I do it every time.
Rise of the Skywalkers.
It's because
it's me. I am the Skywalker.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically how the movie ends.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were doing.
No, it's just always mix it up. But man, you have a trilogy that looks incredible, and I'm not saying that TV shows always have to be like 1-to-1 with what we have in the films, but the film set such an incredible.
Disney, though? Like,
it should.
And there's other streaming services that look so good.
Yeah.
Like,
no, and I know, and that's the thing.
HBO and Apple, they look incredible.
Yeah, so you have prestige television like on streamers setting the stage. You have the sequel trilogy setting the stage. You get to Disney Plus and they're not doing that. And I don't know why, because one, again, they have infinite resources, but also don't give me 8 episodes a season like I would get on an HBO show that looks 1,000 times better for like half of the budget.
Yeah.
And then you give me this. If it was like a 20 episode season of, and also
that's a good point. Yep.
I hate that like a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, like at least for like the first like few years, was just like 30-minute episodes.
And a lot of them were 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is not a good number. We discovered
with lengthy time in between seasons. It's like, what? Why are you taking this much time to cook something that only looks like this, and you only had this many episodes of it anyways? It's like,
yeah.
Yep.
Like if you
and then on
look
top
like this,
of that,
I would assume if it looks like this, you're divvying up the budget for like 30 episodes or 20 episodes, but you're not. It's 6. Like, what are you doing for 3 years or whatever?
And on top of that, we have writing that doesn't match it's not worth the wait.
Yeah.
Like Mandalorian, love the show, but most of the time you don't watch that show for its writing because it's very bare bones, and it works for a lot of the episodes, but not all of them. And so that's just like these ripple effects that you've had throughout all of the TV shows. And then you get directors or you get writers who just like aren't as prestigious as they could or should be, or if they are like well known and well respected, it feels like the quality just doesn't match with stuff that they've worked on before. And I feel like even with the sequel trilogy, all the complaints that you can throw at The Rise of Skywalker, set that aside, and just because within the context of the film, they were course correcting after people had all this discourse with The Last Jedi. But even still, you bring back J.J. Abrams, like you bring back like a prestigious
movie
director. Like he knows how to make movies look well. He knows how to work with an ensemble cast. You had Rian Johnson, who created some of the greatest television episodes of all time, wrote them, directed them, and then also had a lot of great films that were on like a smaller scale. So you go from that to where we're at with a lot of the directors that we've had over the last 6 years, and then what we have to expect moving forward. I don't know. I don't know what happened to the quality control that they had before, because Kathleen Kennedy was a control freak. Like if there was anything that wasn't up to par, they were gone.
We need to make up some scheduling conflicts real quick.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you're going to be fired that Tuesday, actually. Yeah, well, one, it feels like they've got their in-house people. Like you direct an episode of this, therefore you get a show. And
we've gotten a few good episodes from people who have been kind of raised in house, like Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Really, really like her for the most part.
Yeah.
Had a stinker last season, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, what an awful
But that wasn't her fault. She didn't write it.
I don't blame her on that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also directed like crap.
Sucks. Yeah. But she had the best episode of the Book of Boba Fett, which was the Mandalorian episode.
But also, I wanted to go back to one point, because like I know the point's been made, but to me, it's like there are points you make, and then there are points that just need to be made again and again and again, because it's like, how is this possible? Like, these shows often don't look good. Like, they just don't. And they're Disney. It's Disney Plus. They're supposed to draw you to the service. This is... So I don't love this show, but I watched the first 3 seasons of Star Trek Discovery. And for all of its problems and for all the things I don't like about it, that show looks like a movie for like 80% of its time. Like, there are visual effects in it that are phenomenal. There's real direction, and the like a big thing to me is like you don't even need a massive budget to just get like basic direction right, or even like just know how to make a regular scene look cool. Like, we talked about how JJ can just take conversations on a bridge and make it incredible. Like, Star Trek Discovery has scenes where it's just characters on bridges, and we're just jumping from like these Dutch angles and a camera that can kind of glide around and stuff. And like, Discovery is actually pretty well directed a lot of the time, and it almost always looks really good. There's some great visual effects. There's some great sets. There's some great really, really great location shooting even. And like imagine going back in time and telling people that we're now living in the time where Star Trek looks exponentially better than Star Wars. This is like the only time in all of like history that that's true. And it's kind of wild. Like, Star Trek Discovery on Paramount Plus just puts to shame all of...
You don't have to even say anything else. You just say Star Trek, check 1 on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. like
inexcusable.
yeah. And I mean, kudos to Star Trek TV for looking great, because it does.
100%.
But yeah, it's like, we know this is achievable, because you could be like, well, those other prestige shows can look so great because they don't have XYZ. Is like, well, what about Star Trek? We've got
and by the way,
that and Strange New Worlds, both at the same time, both looking fantastic.
And Picard, which also supposedly looks good as well. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't like speak on my own account. But some of those shows, some of those seasons, by the way, were coming out during COVID. And you know what they didn't have? They didn't have problems looking good. They didn't have problems. I mean, like, people had problems with the writing, but it was more so like creative decisions rather than the writing being like poor quality. So you have all of these factors that, like, Paramount Plus Star Trek is doing exponentially better than Star Wars. All of these other streamers doing way better. But then also, like, to bring up Star Trek again, which it's on hiatus, but the Star Trek spinoff show that we were doing, when we were going episode by episode, some of those like old episodes from the 60s where they had massive limitations, they did some cool things with the camera.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, I don't have and let's say hypothetically they don't have a massive budget, but these shows really do. But again, it doesn't take a massive budget to light a scene well. You can light a set. You should know how to do that. You have real gaffers. What's happening?
Yeah,
it's wild.
And there's a lot. Like, one more thing I want to make real quick, Michael, is there's a lot of talented people that work on the Star Wars shows. Like the crew that does the lighting, that does all these things. It honestly, like, all of these problems are stemming from the top, because if you look at the crew for a lot of these shows and go to their IMDb, they're working on like some of the best shows out there. They're getting like top talent, but there's just some sort of disconnect. And I don't know if it's the directors or the producers or what, but there's some sort of disconnect that keeps happening.
I mean, to me, it's the over-reliance on the volume is at the heart of it.
For sure.
To never have actual sets, hardly, to never go on locations unless it's in the fields in California, that look like the hills of California.
That episode looked like a fan film.
I like that episode.
I like the episode, but it looks like a fan film.
I get what you're saying. I get that. To me, the setting does. The film, the episode and how it's like recorded or filmed, to me, it looks really good. In fact, the action in that episode made me believe in the Book of Boba Fett show. Like, I was like, this is gonna be sick.
I think the choreography looks fantastic. It just feels like they shot it out in broad daylight and did no.
Oh yeah, and they did.
Well, yeah, but it was just like, but then they just did. There's no post. It just feels like raw camera footage, so it looks like a.
I agree, and so there's this over dependence on the volume and a lack of physical sets and physical locations, and so, like, there is, I believe, I agree with you guys saying there's a quality control issue, because, like, if you think of, there are plenty of mid-budget shows that are like week to week, it's like fine. Like the episodes, maybe they're not all-time great shows, but like, you don't have to be sitting there thinking, man, that episode was terrible. Why was that one great? Why was that one terrible? Like, why is there so much inconsistency week to week? At least with some of these other mid-budget shows that aren't Disney Plus, you're getting like a stable, like consistent, like, you know what the show is going to be for the most part. But whenever with these Disney Plus shows, you just never know. And then finally, when we get Andor, it's like every week to week, I know it's going to be, at the very least, bottom line, it's going to be freaking good. Like, at the very least, it's going to be well done in every way. They got real television writers that understand the format of television storytelling, and they got like, and then they were allowed to do the thing that they wanted to do. So like whatever
it
they
looks so freaking good,
and
dude.
to me, and so like to me, it's paid dividends. The ratings went way up for season 2 from season 1. There's like Emmy discussions happening that never happened.
Better be.
Yeah, I mean, like
Seriously.
and Emmy discussions that don't happen for things outside of like the Mandalorian for like certain technical aspects or whatever. Like acting and writing and stuff like that doesn't really get associated with Star Wars TV. And so like they have to be thinking at this point. And again, I do want to talk about some stuff I love because I feel like we're hammering a lot of stuff here, but I do hope to Bob Iger himself, like I hope that they see what they've been doing wrong, see Andor, take the right lessons from Andor, hire great people, let them do their vision to a point, obviously, and then let them do it, and then look what happens. Like they just let him do that, and look what we got. And so, like, yeah, I don't know. To me, there's the Favloni verse. I love the words that we've made up for this universe, but that whatever Dave and John have going on at the top of that, it's just not working on a quality level week to week. Because some weeks are great when Rick Famuyiwa is directing an episode and writing
The Believer.
Oh my gosh!
At the very least, we know we're getting some of the best Mando ever.
Yeah.
But then they have like,
The Believer is
God rest his soul. Carl Weathers directs an episode, and it's fine, but it's it's what it is. What it is. But good comedy, but it's just it's not. It's very inconsistent in that regard. And The Believer is some of the best Star Wars TV out there, and it stars freaking Bill Burr. Like,
yeah,
his
performance is incredible.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I always just think about that scene at the table. It's so intense.
It's incredible.
Oh,
that's probably the best non-Andor episode of like live action Star Wars.
100%. Like, so, I want to say a few things real quick. One, why has Rick Famuyiwa not gotten a series of his own?
He needs a movie. Give him a movie.
Or a movie. I would. That is a director right there. Well, I will 100,000% take a live action film from him. Let him write it too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it is. I 100% trust him. So I wanted to put that out there because he just was kind of like, I don't know, not really talked about as much after season 2. And like, I don't like that. He did incredible stuff in season 1 and season 2. So bring him back. And then the other thing I was going to say, Andor was exactly like the thing that you'd expect, the thing that I think we all expected from Disney Plus, the prestige Star Wars television. And I'm not saying that every live action show needs to be the same tonally. But with Andor, you have a show that some people, goofy people, in my opinion, don't love it because they think it's too slow or it has screws and bricks.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. But there's a certain crowd of people. I just hit my mic accidentally. There's a certain crowd of people who think the show is too slow. But you have incredible quality here. Some of the best Star Wars, just period, ever. This show will get talked about for years and years to come. All of the other shows are going to be either forgotten. I'm not saying like Mando, but like the shows that are like poor quality are going to be either forgotten or they're just going to be remembered for like being bad or like people disliking it. And it's like, I don't know. That's
the Disney Plus story at this moment in time. We're 5 years in, 6 years in, and it is remembered for a couple of great shows, but mostly very up and down. It's just you never know what you're gonna get.
And the same thing has happened, with like their other properties, like Marvel, like the other reasons to get Disney Plus.
Marvel, Disney Plus.
That's what I'm saying. Like Disney Plus, period. Like all across the board.
Gosh, yeah. Are you gonna go or am I gonna go?
You talk
first. I talk first.
Can I go on a hate rant now?
Okay, can we talk about something we like after your hate rant?
Yeah,
that's why I wanted to go now.
Okay. I feel heavy.
I
feel sad.
Do what?
I said I feel sad.
Nah, I don't. This is cathartic. First, I'll do a mini one real quick, just on Acolyte, because y'all haven't finished it.
Spoil away, man.
I watched through the Acolyte in a couple days, and at first I was like, it's whatever. Gabe made a good point. It's like the Acolyte wasn't shot on volume and you'd never know it. It's so true. It's like at that point it seeped into their filmmaking style to where it's like you are freed from the shackles, but you don't. It's like in Plato's allegory, you're freed from the cave, but it's scary, so you go back in. It's just, it doesn't look amazing, but it's got great choreography. I was kind of into some of the cast. Like I thought Daphne Keane was fun. I forget his name, but the guy from Squid Game, like he's fun, or he just looks cool and feels like a cool Jedi and whatnot. So I was like, okay, it's whatever. Like it's clearly not like great, but I'm having a good time. The villain is dope AF. Like this is cool. And
Jason Mendoza from The Good Place.
Yeah, he's a great, like he's got great presence when he's under the mask. The voice is so cool. The helmet itself is freaking sick, and like going sleeveless on one arm is so cool for some reason. So I'm okay with it. But the thing is, like, there's this central event that's talked about from episode 1, and this central event is apparently traumatic. It's like something awful happened. It's causing all of these Jedi to doubt themselves. One Jedi kills himself over guilt, like because of the guilt of it. You're like, what happened? What was this thing? You constantly are wanting to know what happened. We finally see the full thing that happened in the penultimate episode. And I was like, what was that? What happened? Like, it was the most convoluted, like, wait, he did that, so you did that. And you feel guilty for like, that's the reveal. I kept waiting for like another reveal because I'm like, well, I don't think we got the thing yet, right? Like there's still the thing that we're supposed to go, oh, whoa. And then it ended and I was like, so that's it? That's what happened? It was the most poorly constructed like event ever. It was so badly done. And I was like, this does not bode well because we just have the finale now. And then one of the worst finales I've ever witnessed happens. It was making nonsense character decision after nonsense. It was baffling. It got to a point, and I'm watching it, I mean, I'm live tweeting, but I'm watching it and I'm paying attention. And it got to a point to where I'm like, I don't know what's happening. There was an awesome duel. I was like, this duel is amazing. I don't know what they're fighting about anymore. I don't know what anybody's motivations are anymore. And then the most bafflingly terrible final character decision is made, and it's supposed to be this huge moment. And I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it ends, and you're supposed to be all emotional. And I'm like, I am livid. That was the dumbest thing. And then they had this post-credit scene that like
I've actually seen this.
It like implicates Yoda in this horrifying Jedi cover-up.
Oh, never
and
mind.
I'm like, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm usually not like decanonized stuff, but like, or headcanon stuff. And I'm like, no, Star Wars breaks if Yoda is a part of this. Like Star Wars just stops being Star Wars if Yoda is actually a part of this. So I have to just truly say this is not real. This is fake. Otherwise, like, I can't love this character anymore. So yeah, I ended up having a 180 to where I was like, you know what? I think people got the Acolyte wrong. This isn't too bad.
You were into it for like several episodes, right?
I was. There were a couple episodes where, like, a couple in particular, where I'm like, hey, I'm having fun. I'm liking this. And then that happened, yeah. And then the other show, this is the real rant.
Oh God, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the worst shows I've ever seen start to finish. There is almost nothing I like about this show. I think, first of all, going into this show, what are the pieces they had in play? We're like, okay, we've ended with Revenge of the Sith, and then we pick up for that brief moment in Rebels, and then obviously A New Hope. So you've got this gap of time. What do we know about it? We know that he is forced into isolation. We just talked on the last episode where, like, we all love galaxy trotting Obi-Wan. He loves his job. He loves what he's doing. You're now taking him and you're isolating him on one planet with one mission, watching after Luke. So what are the two things we know? He's just on Tatooine in isolation. He's not really talking to a lot of people, and he's watching Luke. Okay, here are your pieces, do something interesting. And to me, it's like, okay, we'll do something contemplative, do something, maybe you'll find ways to obviously get action in there, but your fun working within constraints is fun. So your constraints are, he's got to watch Luke and he's got to stay on Tatooine. And end of episode 1, they're like, leave Luke, leave Tatooine. And you're like, well, every interesting piece about this era you just dismissed out of hand. Like, everything we knew about this era for him is just, you decided, I don't want to play with these pieces, so I'm going to throw them away, and I'm putting all my new pieces on the board, even though they don't make sense. And, like, I don't now, like, A New Hope feels weird because it feels like there's really, like, her Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi thing feels weirdly, like, I don't know, formal given their history now. And he's got no real reaction to seeing Leia, which is like, why don't force, like, this formative moment for her and this big, like, have protecting her be the thing that rejuvenates him if we know that we're just going to jump to A New Hope. And it's going to feel like people are lying through their teeth if they say that they can see, like, the Obi-Wan Leia stuff in light of Kenobi. It's like, no, you can't. This feels so, none of this reads as if they have history at all. And the stupid rematch of the century, like, oh, that's a presence I haven't felt since about 5 years ago. It's just going like Mustafar and the Death Star. Those are the bookends. That's the last time they should have seen each other. And because now we're just forced with the second time that Obi-Wan is looking at, like, Anakin in a state where he just needs to finish him off. Because, like, he learned from his mistake last time. He didn't finish the job, and now he's Vader. And he does it again, having all this time. And it's just like, all right, I'm going to leave you. See you later. And then it also, what makes that sequence even more egregious is, like, they completely and shamelessly rip off Twilight of the Apprentice from Rebels, where we get the cut down the mask, where, oh, I can see the yellow eye, and we're going in it. Before, it was going in and out of James Earl Jones and Matt Lanter, and now we're going in and out of James Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen. It's like, we got that moment. We got the I'm Anakin and Vader kind of thing. We already did that, and it was so amazing in Rebels, and it's just so forced here. And then on top of all of this, on top of all of the ways this just takes a poop on lore in ways that I hate, it's just so badly made. It's like, there are moments, like there's the famous moment where they just fully break, or what do you call it? The rule, when characters are on one side of the frame, like you cross the,
I know what you're talking about. What you're talking about.
Where they just break that rule, and it happens. And, like, it's some of the worst. Like, I went and I was doing a hate light reel before this, watching scenes. The scene where, like, the Inquisitor is walking around the cantina. It is the most basic, like, we got a lamp over there. We're not doing anything after that lamp. It's like the gaffer's angry. He's like, I put that light there. I'm not doing anything else. And God help me if you touch this in post. Like, it's the most basic coverage of people like, I'm sitting at a cantina and this is it's supposed to be intimidating. Like, Andor takes scenes of just dialogue and just directs the crap out of it. And this is again, it's like I got a couple of shots of some concerned looking people sitting down and the 180 rule. Okay, that's what, it was so bland, and there's like 4 different times in this series where like the tiniest little obstacles are like just stopping people in their tracks. Like freaking Benny Safdie like pulls down like a 7-foot awning and they're like, well, I guess he's out of.
How did he know
how
did he know what my oh crap. I'm
weakness.
Dead. Yeah, how did he know my only weakness?
Yeah.
Awnings.
Or Vader being like 10 feet of fire. How do I get around this? Or like the hilarious little laser highway thing from that episode. Or what famously now one of the worst, if not the worst, chase scene in anything with a budget of all time, where like you've got these supposed scary criminals who are chasing Leia like they're in like a kids movie, where you're like, don't try to be scary because kids are going to be in the audience. It looks like a dad play chasing his child in a backyard, where it's like nobody runs with, if you're trying to catch somebody, nobody runs with their arms outstretched. You're running like you're running. You're trying to get to them, and everybody's, oh, I'm gonna get you. Like, it looks so stupid.
And there's just like a stick that doesn't, like, one of them get clotheslined by like a
clotheslined. It's the stick. It's not like Ewoks like pull it out from the side. It's there. He's staring that thing just like from 30 feet away, and he's like making a dead sprint to smack into it.
But does it help that is Flea?
No, it makes it worse.
I'm just kidding.
And I just think, I'm sorry. Like, apparently she's been great in other things, but the actress who plays Reva is terrible in this.
I thought you were about to crap on Vivian Lyra Blair.
She's
was about
precious.
To. Okay,
she's
thank
adorable.
goodness I don't have to defend a child actor right now.
No, she's precious and adorable, and the internet better stay away from her.
Thank you.
But no, Reva, I sent it in the chat. There's that scene when like she's over there to try to, like, she's going to the room that they had Leia hidden in, and Flea is there, and the doors open and the camera pans up to her and she just goes, where is he? Like, it's so bad. And then the scene at like towards the end, whenever she flies in and you've got like 20 stormtroopers and it's trying to show it off like it looks cool, and it looks like they're on such a little bitty set. And like, it looks so fan filmy because, again, it just feels like post-production is just a thing that nobody cares about. It's such a bad show. It's so badly made. It's breaking the most basic rules of film, not just the 180 thing. It's just in terms of like, that's not how you light a scene. And if you're going to have intense dialogue, you can't just be like, and here's my shot, my reverse shot, and this is the scene, and the scene is this, and and whenever characters hold lightsabers, I've got about 50 different giant blue lights that I'm going to blast them with, and then we're going to swirl dust so you can't see anything. And it's just like, I really think this show is truly awful, and I just needed to get this off my chest.
How do you feel?
I feel better. This has been the only time that I've really been able to. We didn't do a Kenobi episode. We haven't really. I needed one opportunity to just vent because I
still haven't done your Furiosa rant, so we owed you one.
The Furiosa, like, I think Furiosa is a good movie at least.
Yeah, it's still at least made well.
Yes, it's made well. I've got a lot of issues with it, but it's made well. I don't have this thing in my heart that won't let me free until I can just blast the show.
Furiosa is a great movie, by the way. Drew and I agree on that. Okay, so we're not going to debate Kenobi. I honestly can't really debate most of what you just said. It hasn't aged well, and I fully admit that. And I, even in my defense of it, I like at the time of it coming out, I was enjoying it for what it was, but there were plenty of things about it that even I was bothered by. many of the things that you said, including the simple thing of there's so much to do. There's so much you could do, like that's really beautiful and interesting, of Obi-Wan on Tatooine, like watching Luke and like the more of a contemplative thing, and like him really like dealing with his trauma and dealing with. There's so much there, right there.
Because it's like you should start that season off with him depressed, but like when do we see him next? In Rebels, and it looks like he has such a calm sense of purpose in Rebels. Like he's so content with it now.
Yeah. And so it's like you said, the end of episode 1, and I thought episode 1 had a lot of good stuff going for it. Actually, I did. At the end of episode 1, he leaves, and it's like, and then the next little, several episodes, I was like, so we really are just like doing little adventures right now. I really liked a lot of the dynamic between Ben and Leia. I really did. And I thought they had there were some conversations that were really good between the two of them. I really love the finale in general. There's the for the most part, the what's her name? Reva. Her story makes no sense at all. She got gypped because I believe that she's probably a good actor and other things. I haven't seen her, but I can believe that. She got gypped in terms of dialogue and just general story. She did. Her story just made zero sense, and there are so many like logic problems in all of that. I do love certain things about the show, but even in my love for certain things in it, I will fully admit it hasn't aged well, and I also admit there's plenty of things about it that are, especially since that show, we've gotten 2 seasons of Andor to show us what Star Wars TV could be, and so that hasn't helped it at all. And so so I'm not going to debate. I did want to say there are I don't think that there's as many lore issues as you say, and that's we don't need to step on all those things, but I generally agree with a lot of your takes on it there, but I liked it. I did. I still have a soft spot for the show. I really do. You forgot one thing though, to make fun of. The scene where they're
a lot of things.
The scene where they're leaving the prison. What's the place called? That was in. It's in one of the games apparently.
Oh, the Inquisitorius.
The scene where they're leaving that, and he hides Leia under his. They're like walking, and he just hides Leia under his coat or whatever. His.
Oh my gosh! Yes, it's so stupid,
and nobody sees it.
Yeah, it's like kids in a trench coat trying to sneak into a theater. Well, it's so funny. Then there's the shot of like them trying to take off, and Vader catching it, and then it's like it's comedic because then the other ship just takes off, and it's like, oh, I guess they were on another ship. Oops, I already drained my force power holding one ship. I can't use that again.
And the 180 rule that you brought up, the way that it happens is almost comedic. Like when he runs out of the frame in one direction, and then he runs back in from the other way, and then he turns around. It actually looks like it's a joke. Like
it's so.
I did want to bring that up because I remember being confused by it first of all, and then thinking like, was that a joke?
And it's and again, it's not completely fair because Andor is like a step above regular TV too.
It is. I mean, it's all time great.
But like again, a thing that really hurts Kenobi in retrospect is like, I think one of my favorite arcs that I don't feel like as many people love as much, but like I love the heist arc from season 1 a lot.
Who doesn't love that? You mean like Aldani?
Aldani, yeah. Like, no, I know everybody liked it, but it's just like it doesn't feel like it gets brought up among favorites. And I'm like, I love this because it's like we're on a backwater planet, stealing from like a backwater bank. Like it's kind of not super important in the grand scheme of things, but here's our first episode of like debating if we should even do it. Here's our second episode of like planning every minute detail. and here's our third episode of like painstakingly trying to follow through everything and the consequences of missing it. All of like it's so detailed.
It's got some of the most gorgeous visuals.
Yes,
like
dude, just walking up mountains and like TIE fighters flying around. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so incredible. And then in Kenobi, it's like, all right, we've kidnapped the daughter of like one of the most high profile senators ever. This is like the most high profile kidnapping ever. Let's put her in like a warehouse 2 hallways away from the only space station or the only spaceport on the planet. Like Kenobi walks off there and he takes like no time getting to like the one little drug lab, and then he walks 2 hallways and he's like, oh, there you are. It's convenient that they decided to store you right by the only airport. Like that plan of rescuing Leia would be like a 3-episode arc in Andor, and it's the first 10 minutes of this episode. He just waltzes in there.
He's powerful, man. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's
the show is terrible.
I know.
No, I definitely enjoyed some of it. I enjoyed the show whenever it came out. I did have a lot of problems and glaring flaws with it, but like in retrospect, I dislike it more and more. All the stuff you pointed out, like absolutely, I cannot disagree with. Like you pointed out so many things that are like just fundamentally, I'm like, yeah, this is not good. And honestly, like I could see myself really disliking it on a rewatch. I haven't rewatched it. I haven't really rewatched a lot of the shows. I need to, but probably won't ever rewatch the Book of Boba Fett if I'm being honest.
Dude, here's the thing. I have it. It has fun moments. It's pretty fun. It's a fun show.
I kind of like Book of Boba Fett because at least at the end when it's like it's Cad Bane and it's Boba Fett and Mando and like there's Rancors and I'm like, at this point it's the fun version of I'm just filming live action figures.
Yeah.
And like
also the Tusken Raider episode with the train was pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, that episode is I always say, okay, I think the Mandalorian episode of it's probably the best, but when you actually talk about the episodes that are Boba Fett, like because it's his show, I think that's the best one. I think it's episode 2. That has some really cool stuff in it. The train heist is really fun, and then the crazy weird, lizard going up the nose and the vision stuff with the that stuff is really cool. I really enjoyed that episode. I think it's really cool. And
Mos Espa is made up of like 2 rooms and 1 street.
Boy, you want to talk about bad chase scenes?
Oh, that's Peter Chase's.
No, it's incredible.
But there's some fun stuff. It's a fun rewatch.
That's a little intro for Sophie Thatcher, who's since gotten a lot bigger.
I don't know that.
I completely forgot about that. What the heck?
She's the goth skater girl.
That is insane.
I rewatched it one night. I basically binged the entire show in one night while I was putting together my Slave One Lego set. It was nice. Like, I have to do this, right? And so I did it. I was like, yeah, that was fun. I'm glad I did that. But I do think that there's a lot to dislike about Obi-Wan. Really, my biggest problems with it is the missed opportunities. Like you said it, James. They at the end of the first episode, they leave, and it's like, okay, well, all of the most interesting things in my head that we could have done are out the window now. Because
how does a man find peace in a mission that's hopefully where it's like best case scenario is you sit down for 20 years and never do anything? How do you find peace through that?
There's so much that they set up in Revenge of the Sith with like him communing with Qui-Gon, and like, dude, like you could have done some really cool stuff there. Obviously, you're limited maybe to what Liam Neeson agrees to do, like whatever. But like, there's so much stuff that even if you don't touch the Qui-Gon stuff, just the trauma alone, from what happened in Revenge of the Sith, there's so much you can do.
It would have been so good if it was like, an 8-episode like mini series Tatooine the whole time, wrestling with that trauma, dealing with like things here and there to protect Luke on Tatooine from just the elements of Tatooine, like, you know, all the mercenaries, the criminals, you know, like the Tusken Raiders, everything that you have to deal with, but never like fully interacting with Luke, I think would have been perfect. But if you would have like the Qui-Gon stuff, it could have been the entire show. He's trying to use the Force to speak with Qui-Gon and cannot get a hold of him. Qui-Gon's not answering, right? And then you could save it, you know, for the end, and like towards the end of like this arc where he's starting to like get this peace, and
and it's
you know,
not until
communing with
that he can truly like
Mhm.
hear him. And
I think that would have been perfect. It would have been
Yeah.
a really cool character study. There wouldn't have been like huge lore breaking stuff.
And to me, that's where Star Wars TV is absolutely at its best. I wasn't able to do much prep for this episode tonight, but I did choose one episode of Star Wars TV to watch today. I chose to watch Rebels in season 2. There's an episode called Honorable Ones, and it is it's basically where Zeb and Callus get stranded on a moon outside of
Diego, I
moon.
think.
No. Good one. Sorry. I was like, no. Oh, that's a quote. No, crap. What is the planet that the Clone Wars start at?
Camino?
No, Geonosis.
Geonosis.
Oh yeah.
So it's a moon of Geonosis, and they get stranded there, and the entire episode is just them surviving, and you learn like how you see them relate to each other, and you see a soft spot in Zeb, and then you see really like, man, they really start to dive into Callus in that episode.
Phenomenal character.
Yeah,
Such a great character, and there's no wink of an eye or anything like that. No lore implications or anything. It is literally just a character driven episode of Star Wars that just wrote characters well.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like, it sounds basic, but that's when Star Wars is at its absolute best on the television. The episode we were talking about of Mando, Believer, that episode is
also has some great action though.
No.
The train thing is awesome.
There's some great action, and then obviously he used the thing too, which is awesome. But really, that episode stands out because of, not just because it's well written, but it's because of the it's really more focused on a character, and it's character driven. Andor, there are so many characters in that show that are so well fleshed out, and the episodes themselves are so focused on them. And yes, they're Star Wars. These are Star Wars shows, and we're gonna play with the they're not all gonna be the same tone. We don't want that, but at the same time, there needs to be a fundamental, at the foundation of whatever we're doing, is the character writing going to be strong. And they broke that right away with Kenobi. I feel like that's, to me, my biggest problem with it. And everything else I have fun with it. I like certain things about it a lot, but there are things about it that I'm like, well, when you left Tatooine and you chose to do this and that right at the beginning, you kind of abandoned so many of your the best things you had available to you. Mm-hmm. And now you're dealing with scraps. And so they do that with several of they've done that with Boba Fett. They've, even Ahsoka to a degree. I like Ahsoka. I think it's good. But a little bit underwhelming too. And so just make good characters. Like, take the characters that are already good, keep digging up good stuff in there. And like the fact that a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi isn't just universally loved is so sad to me. Like, that should have been a no-brainer to put a lot of money into, and to get good, like, the best of writers on. And it would have made all the money if you made a movie out of it. And it's just, instead we have a show that a lot of people really don't like, and it's really sad.
Yeah. This is also going to sound mean to Favlo and Favloni, but Favlo.
The new hot couple, Favlo.
Yeah. A lot of that, and also Kenobi and the Acolyte and stuff, kind of feels like fan fiction. Like when I think about Kenobi, it honestly feels like a certain Star Wars creator on YouTube making an AI generated
another dig at him. Wow. Okay.
making an AI generated Star Wars story saying, "Oh, they took my script."
He did
but,
that.
Well, it's because only that kind of like fan, like, and more interesting person would take those parameters of like, okay, this is the situation. What can I do interesting with it? It's the certain kind of fan that would be like, there's no way in heck I'm not making them have a rematch. Like that's where you go, and it's like, well, that's not interesting.
Like it's the same thing where like people are like, bring back Mace Windu, do this, do that. It's like,
do not bring back Mace Windu.
No. But yeah, that's kind of like all the stuff that I think is poo-poo in the Star Wars realm right now. But I want to talk about the good things, and I think the character-driven stuff, you're onto a great point there, which is a great way to segue into Andor, because man, the show is phenomenal, and the character work, not just with Andor, but the characters across the board, even the small characters. Like there are certain characters that are just there for like a few minutes, and you're like, yeah, that character's awesome, or like, dang, they represent something really cool. Like there's just so much work put into every aspect of this show, and it really is like just pure cinema. But one thing I wanted to shout out for Andor, because I feel like it doesn't get enough credit, the Aldhani arc, absolutely phenomenal and does not get enough credit. But also, dude, the first 3 episodes had me, oh man, I was blown away whenever the show first came out. I was so into it, trying to, well, like, first off, starting out on this like Blade Runner looking planet with the rain and the neon lights.
Oh yeah.
And
watching that after some of the other Star Wars, it was almost jarring, where I was like, look at this lighting, dude, this is crazy. Like the over the shoulder camera following around. I'm like, oh,
it's real.
Yeah, they're making a real thing. They shot a real thing, guys.
It's incredible. But like, as soon as that show started, I was like, man, we are back. I knew there was nothing but greatness from this like opening minutes. And it's like super bold. I know like Tony Gilroy had talked about it a lot, but like he really fought to have the show starting off with Andor in a brothel and having just killed like, basically 2 like space police, and like a bold direction to take this. We don't really see stuff like that from Star Wars. It's very gritty. But it just had me locked in. You have incredible score to back it up, and like the mystery of like him like trying to find his sister, which that didn't really get expanded on, but like it didn't need to. It was just like the perfect kind of catalyst to like start this like series of events. And then having this mystery slowly unraveling throughout the season of like his childhood, and like what he knew the Empire as a child, all these things. Like I just think that they were doing masterful work of like creating something that like truly didn't just feel like prestige television, but like felt like cinema. Like just the way it's shot, going between the flashbacks and the present time, And then the set of I always forget the planet name. What's the main planet from season 1? It's like Andor's home. I can't remember what it's called.
Bricks and Screws Land.
Bricks and Screws Land.
Ferrex.
Some bricks and 1 through 6.
The sets for that planet are phenomenal, and it feels so unique to anything that we've seen in Star Wars before. Having all of the people, gather together and rebel, like the freaking sound that you hear with the bell, and how they like keep that consistent throughout the show. Like, man, just doing some phenomenal stuff. So many like cool creative decisions. You really don't see a show like this every day. And the fact that we got this in Star Wars, and like even people who aren't Star Wars fans are like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It really was special watching this show. But
I had people that I knew that like I don't ever really talk movies or TV at all with, but they know that like I like this. I got on 2 different occasions, I got like a text out of the blue being like, dude, I just watched episode 8 of season 2. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like everyone was talking about it. It was like, honestly, when it came out, I feel like it was the first time in a while where it had like that, like water cooler show effect where like just a bunch of people were talking about it. And I felt like the hype just got higher and higher throughout that first season as each episode came out. Because I remember like, people love the first arc, but then we get to the second arc and they're like, oh, cool heist. Then we get to that next arc and they're like, incredible freaking, really incredible prison escape. Like this show really has it all. Because they even have, one thing that like a lot of people were criticizing was the lack of aliens in Andor. But we have that like really weird episode in season 1 where he's on like the resort planet and there's a bunch of like
Space Miami.
Aliens. Yeah,
I really love all of the visuals of Space Miami. That is such a great like addition to just Star Wars locations.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It does the thing that I feel like Mando could have done with the California setting. Like you could have taken real life locations but actually like make it look like a different planet, because Andor takes actual locations and changes it up to make it look like something else. And honestly, I feel like that goes back to like episode 1, The Phantom Menace. They have real life locations that they filmed on, and then they added like the digital backdrops to make it look like Naboo. And they did the same thing with Coruscant in
Windows
Andor.
Vista.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah, we missed the screensaver that the battle happened on.
Yeah.
It's epic.
No, but yeah, dude, Andor is such an amazing experience because, like, first of all, let me ask y'all this: how did y'all end up feeling about how they released the episodes this season compared to last season? Because I think they released the first 3 last season, and then after that, it was week to week. How did y'all feel about the difference between how they released it this time with the full arcs?
So I am a big fan of weekly releases.
Same. It worked for me this season.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. So I'm a big fan of just like the 1 episode a week kind of release. Somehow, I was fully against that first. Somehow the like releasing 3 episodes each week worked for me with Andor. I don't want to see that as like a super common thing. I feel like, I think it kind of worked in the benefit of Andor because, all 3 episodes are 1 arc. So it kind of made sense. I still think they could have released just, 1 episode a week and it would have had the same impact. But I kind of liked it. I don't know. It was fun because I was like, oh, cool, I'm watching an episode. Oh, wait, I have 2 more incredible episodes. And I'd say the arc that really, if I would have not had all 3 episodes at once, I would have lost my mind. But the Gorman arc, the Gorman Massacre arc, I needed all 3 episodes right there. I would have not been able to survive without that.
Yeah, I was a fan of the release this way because I like the other release for TV that doesn't do this, where it is just kind of, it's written as like the one season, and it's not that these seasons don't have an overarching kind of thing, but this probably season 2 even more than season 1 in some ways felt like movies that made up a season.
Agreed.
And so I felt like
the year time leaps really helped that. To
yeah,
me.
exactly. So it felt like I was watching a new movie a week, and I think I like that better than taking 3 weeks to finish one movie and then 3 weeks to finish another movie, as opposed to just like getting a act 1, act 2, act 3 instead of like at one time, and then another act 1, act 2, act 3 at one time, instead of going act 1, act 2, act 3, act 1, act 2, act 3 like that. I think it served it well here, and it also served to like just group them up in my mind better. Like this week was this, and whenever I think back on all the Andor I watched last week, it's like, well, I watched that one story, and that's what's occupying my memory. And then I watched that next story, and that next story in its completeness is what's occupying, what I'm thinking about. And so, I liked it. The trade-off is it kind of came and went faster than I wished.
Yeah.
But overall, I preferred that ability to just be able to sit and let one episode flow into the next until that story finished.
Yeah. I agree, and I think too, like I said, I do think the time jumps happening, after each arc, I think that kind of lent itself to it too, to happening. I really do. So yeah, I was initially a little hesitant as well, Drew, because I love, generally speaking, I am like fully pro week to week releases. I think the binge model is dead. I think it's generally a stupid thing to do because, like when they used to dump a season of Stranger Things on Netflix, like that's all anybody talked about for a week. And then after that week, it was done. Yeah. Whereas week to week, you're in conversation for like 3 months, right? Like, I mean, if you have a 12 episode show. So I think it's smart business wise, but I also just think it's more fun as a fan too, like week to week. So I'm always pro that, but I felt like this season of Andor, I just felt like it was really meant for that. But man, just from a character perspective too, like who would have thought who would have thought that like if you were to go back in time and tell young versions of yourself, by the way, that Mon Mothma character, one of the best characters in Star Wars of all time, one of the most interesting Star Wars characters of all time. Just wait. Would you believe future you?
I'd say yes, because she sold me on the sacrifice of those Bothans.
Very true.
Many Bothans.
What do you mean those ones? I thought it was Manny.
I love that.
No, but yeah, I just think the fact that Mon Mothma is one of our best Star Wars characters now is awesome, and I love Andor specifically for that. She has become like legit possible all-time top 10 Star Wars character for me, and that's crazy because I mean, like,
Star Wars has so many great characters.
They do.
It's a huge list.
It's a huge list, and she just like every week that she was in an episode, she just leaped over people like in the list or whatever. I just the stuff that she did this season in like the wedding arc. I think it was the first arc of the season.
Yeah.
her performance was just insane. But like the character stuff they did with her, and then her escape from the Senate and all that in the Gorman arc, and then seeing her like build the rebellion and like get closer and closer to Rogue One. I don't know. She is such a deep character now, and I just the writing, it's just regular people could not make that happen. But it's the fact that they hired real television writers, real television writers that made really good stuff before Andor, and they just
also
let them do their job.
They did take a few risks in season 2. The director of the Gorman Massacre arc, documentary filmmaker, which I'm not saying documentary filmmakers can't do amazing stuff, but when you have someone who doesn't have a ton of experience working on like big budget like TV shows like this, kind of crazy, but man, did it work. And I think the filmmaking in that arc is my favorite on the show by far. I think taking like a documentary filmmaker for that arc specifically was so perfect because it was so immersive. Made you feel like you were there in the midst of everything.
I remember hearing like y'all talk about episode 8. That was it, right? Y'all watched it before, because I think I was late to watching it.
I think so.
I feel like you were a little behind us.
You were like a day late, maybe.
Yeah. It got to where I was able to. I just forced myself to stay up late, but I do remember like watching episode 7 and being like, okay, all right, we're getting there. Episode 8, when it opens up on that particular track, and then we just get like a minute-long helicopter shot of the city with the music, I was like, whoa, what's happening? And the build up to the mask, like where it feels like, that thing that Hans Zimmer did for the Dunkirk score, where it just feels like endless rising. Just that's what it feels like that episode did for like 15 minutes straight, where I was like, I can't take this. There's shot in particular that had me like, because I was even though it was late, I was turning up my sound system. I'm like, we are in this right now. Whenever like Cyril is walking and then a TIE fighter flies overhead and he like ducks down, and I'm like, gosh, I'm so tense right now. It's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then it all goes down with Cyril and Dedra in that episode too. I think, right?
Man, it's some of like the best acting I've seen in a while, and like I was
Too many
shocked.
people to nominate.
Yeah, seriously. But I was completely shocked and floored when that happened. I was not expecting that at all. I'm like, holy crap. Like, this is going down. This is happening right now. And the rest of the episode was just
when he like grabs her.
I know.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, I felt so uncomfortable. Like, in the best way possible. Like, they really did a fantastic job of making everything in that arc believable.
When it ends on his mom crying, is it like, dude, I started tearing up. I was like, this is next level stuff. His whole, who would have thought, like, when thinking of just, who would have thought blah blah blah, who would have thought, like, just with his first episode, I was always a fan of him from like his first episode, because I'm like, this actor is killing it. I love this guy. But like the journey he goes on to, like, he's so close to a redemption arc, so close by the end of that, and then to just be consumed, his obsession, just
who are you
back, and the who
the
are
way
you?
he dies too, dude. Oh man,
gosh.
It's so, dude, you're right. He's right there. His redemption arc is right there. But Cassian saying, "Who are you?" Like,
But just his presence is what, like, I feel like it's like the fact that he sees him. It's like, what would have happened if he never saw him?
Yeah.
Because like Cassian shouldn't mean anything to him anymore. But like when he just sees him out there in the massacre, it's like he goes back into old Cyril. And he's like, no, that's Cassian. I got to take him out.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. It's so.
And
good.
then, good.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Daedra's arc, going from like being on top of her game, the Krennic pointing on her or putting his finger on her, dude, freaking incredible.
Ben Mendelsohn did. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But like, man, I honestly, like, there was even a moment for me where I'm like, maybe Daedra is having second thoughts. Like, they did like a cool thing of like making you think like, oh, maybe she's gonna like be like, hey, I actually kind of regret doing this, and then just like fully leaning into it, only for her to be stuck in prison for the rest of her life and go insane.
Dude, what an end, dude! What an end to that character. It's almost depressing until you like just. Like, she seemed pretty horrified at times. Oh, one of the best scenes ever is like whenever she's just like having her breakdown, or it's just her. Golly, like what I was gonna say earlier is like, to me the thing of all of the things, because there's so many things to stick out about Andor, but I think the thing that sticks out the most to me is that like whether you are top build or you've got 3 lines. Except for the 2 guys in the first arc of season 2, but ruling those out, there's no such thing as like well, you just get somebody to say that line real quick. Like the receptionist at the hotel is great.
Yep.
And one of the standouts to me was like the head of like the underground Gorman resistance, like the older guy, her dad.
Yeah, so good.
Whenever he is like grabbing Cyril in the street, and you just see his vein protruding, he's just shouting like, and he's in disbelief. That guy, I want to nominate and give that guy an award. He's incredible.
Yeah.
And like,
Best
again, like
extra
people
award.
like do it. Yeah. But like, or the other guy who like he's the bigger guy, and he was super argumentative in that arc.
Yeah.
Like, he's amazing. Just every little bit role that shows up is just like, holy crap. That's how what's the character's name? The assistant to Luthen, Clea. Like, she wasn't gonna be a huge role at first, and her performance is incredible. And now we've got like one of the last arcs, or actually the last arc, so centered on her, and it's like she earned it because she's incredible. Like, this is just one of the most incredible collections of like worthy performances of anything I've seen.
Yeah,
down to the guy who has 3 lines in the second arc of a season. It's just like
blows my mind. Why am I blanking on her name? It's getting late, that's why. But the Luthen's Clea, yeah. That being her first acting role ever, like that is insane to me.
Insane,
crazy.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, I just want to shout this out real quick. Denise Go, who plays Daedra, I found out recently that she's the voice actress of Yennefer from The Witcher 3, and I'm like, dude, I see and hear it now, but that really makes me want to replay it because that game's incredible.
Another character that I love, and I think he's great when he's on screen, doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think, but Partagaz, the Imperial officer over Daedra, basically. I love anytime he's on screen, and Tony Gilroy talked about him because he was like, I want to give an award to him just because of how like he always had, his dialogue was always exposition laden, but the way that he said it didn't feel like it was. She's like, I just wish that we could give an award for that because he deserves it. All the like every single episode, and
Calibrate
he's
your
right.
enthusiasm.
So good. What a
Yeah.
line. And like I loved seeing him as everything was unraveling, and like his scene with Krennic was so good too.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The insecurity starting to show in both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, another like one of my favorite little subgenres of Star Wars is Imperial bureaucrats. And what an excellent addition he is, because he's one of those presences, or he's one of those presents where it's like he just adds like a level of seriousness to things where it's like it just feels like this is an important thing. This is an important discussion. Like this just, and like this is a real show because this guy is clearly a real actor. Like it's just, I don't know. There's just such a reliable kind of like this guy is legit to him.
Yeah.
And then him taking himself out after hearing the manifesto. Dude.
And just the hand from the other guy, like whenever the stormtroopers want to react, and he's like, no, we're not gonna.
Yep. Oh
So
man.
good. What
I'm looking at the cast right now, and there's literally like so many people who I'm like,
freaking awards. Stellan Skarsgård, dude. Holy crap. He's incredible.
The only like I feel so like if you were to ask me after season 1, who do you think deserves an Emmy for the most, like for Andor the most, I would have said Stellan, I think, followed closely by Mon Mothma. But after this season, I do think that Mon Mothma earned it. I really do. I think she passed him. I do, but like any time that Stellan Skarsgård is on the screen, it is just so good. And he didn't have as many monologues in season 2. I feel like we got treated to some really good stuff last season. He didn't have as much of that, but the stuff that he had this season was a little bit smaller, but it was still so good. Like I love the scene when they're walking, when him and Claire are walking away from the party after they got whatever they needed to out of that room, and they were like, probably should have killed him or what, like, and they just genuine laughter there, just like really kind of weird off-putting laughter there. But I just, there's little scenes like that all through this season, but he's so good. And the character of Luthen, I think, is one of the most interesting characters in all of Star Wars at this point.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes it feels like, I mean, to me, it's definitely between him and Mon Mothma. And like one of the things that I love for him is the way he has to just blend in and out of the character he puts on.
Dude,
like early on in season 1, just that the image of him practicing in the mirror, making sure like I can still convincingly look like this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just having to try to maintain that persona even while out of it is just such a compelling idea to me. And then just over the course of season 2, like whenever it feels like he's got less of a reason to hold, like watching that persona get super, like watching him get nervous while maintaining the persona with Daedra there is, and then getting the flashbacks. I really like the flashback episode
really
a lot.
So good.
It's just all of the different things he had to be at different moments and just the different emotions he had to put on, like, you know, being nervous while just being the full-on Luthen, being nervous while being Luthen while in his persona, trying to maintain. Is it like, it's just, there's so many layers to what he's having to do over the course of this season. And whenever, I forget what Clea had said, but there was something about, like, she had said it and it was the kind of the typical thing you say in that mission, and he gives her a response where it's basically like, I think we're it's something, it was some precaution. She was saying something about a precaution, and he's Luthen, like the king of precaution. And he's basically like, I think we're past that. Like just watching him get to the point to where he's aware that like we've reached a point of no return, and just seems so kind of like broken down and like emotionally been through it all. Like his performance is unreal to me.
It is. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Mon does a lot of the same stuff though, like with
Like especially at the party of just trying to be the happy mom while the leader of like
she's happy mom, politician, putting on a front, all this stuff while knowing with the things that she's involved in, also like pretending she's in a happy marriage and like all of that stuff. And then as soon as that car door closes, she's an entirely different person. Yeah. She does the same kind of stuff. And so like, honestly, if either of them won an Emmy for this, I'd be over the moon about it. So, but the reality is that they're just two all-time great Star Wars characters now. And that's so cool. And more Stellan Skarsgård in anything is always good.
Please.
Yeah. Also, I want to shout out because we didn't even like mention them, but freaking Diego Luna and Adria, I think her last name is Arjona.
Yeah.
They're both incredible so too. Like, it's insane. Everyone is amazing in this, and I think
kind of it feels like I always feel bad for the leads in shows like this, like in huge ensembles, because like if I felt like that with Leslie Knope in Parks and Rec, like she's so good and she's so funny, but like everyone else is a favorite character of people. Like nobody's favorite character is Leslie Knope. People's favorite character is Ron Swanson or April Ludgate or Andy Dwyer or Tom or like all these different. She's just kind of that person, but she holds down the fort like in the way that only Amy Poehler could. But I feel the same way with Diego Luna does an incredible job, but he just does it so in like kind of understated ways, and we don't talk about him as much, but he's exactly what he needs to be. But everyone else has some flashier things to do, I feel like.
Yeah. Watching him go from like, I'm not in this resistance to I need to hurry up and do things to they're not ready. Like they can't do that.
Yeah.
Just the increase in just in his like demeanor and the way he talks and the words he uses, where it's like, dude, there is such an increase in just like competence at what he's doing and the spycraft by the end of it.
And
also
it's
so believable.
Not only is it believable, but you also see like, man, I think honestly, talk about like top tier characters. I really think for me, Andor is amongst the top for me now because there's so much depth and complexity to him. But seeing like one of the ways that you can see that is how Luthen's effect has taken him over. And by the end of the series, and especially when you get into Rogue One, like when I watched Rogue One right after it, and I'm like, I see Luthen right now.
Yeah. Like he did that thing right there because of Luthen.
Yes.
Which makes the ending of like season 2 kind of a mixed thing because it has the hero walk and the hero music and stuff. And like he's got us being all rah about Luthen. We're like, yeah, you stand on his shoulders and you don't even know it. And then it's like, he straight up shot a father in the heart as like his last major act. Huh.
But he never said he didn't do any of that stuff. Like,
no, I know, but what I'm saying is like, it's not that whether he admits it or not, it's that he did it. Yeah. It's like, do we hold up as a hero the guy who shoots dads in the heart when the time calls for it? Like,
yeah, I think that's exactly why this show's incredible, because
I'm just saying, like, it made the ending of season 2 like a good kind of weird, but a weird feeling for me, because it's like, Andor is like, because it's shot full on hero walk, like it's a slow motion. He's looking around him, the music's swelling, and it's so great. And it's he's with K2 and they're flying off, and he's like, I got to go meet with a guy, and we're like, yeah, and then it's like, wait, he's gonna go that the guy that he's hero walking to, he's gonna shoot in the back. And so it's like it's a strange feeling that it ended me with, because I'm like, the tools of cinema are telling me to cheer, but I feel like they know this. It feels like it's kind of a, hey, you're happy, right? You dirty, you know what he's doing. It's just
it's what Breaking Bad does to us. It's like, why am I rooting for Walter White right now? I am evil now. But no, that's why the show's so interesting, because you're rooting for you. It really does take this thing that we've always associated with just good, the rebellion is just good, as like, well, real rebellions, they have to start and you have to get your hands dirty, and the people who start them are not going to be like remembered necessarily, and that's who this is about. And but I know for me going forward, when I watch Rebels episodes where they have to come in contact with Saw Gerrera, I'm going to look at those episodes a little differently now, because I've seen Andor. Like, because Saw and Luthen are very much two heads of the same coin. They're very, very similar. They're still very different too, but that more gray area, or not even gray, straight up like yikes. But whereas the rebels that we're following, the Ghost Crew, they're more like Mon Mothma, and so it's actually going to be really interesting to watch all that again, and like, I'm actually really interested to see that and how it fits together.
When I'm done my DC animated show marathon, I really got to get back to Star Wars, because I'm excited to watch just that era play out more now.
Yeah,
I think like one of the best things about this show, and just what I want to see moving forward from, like, if we get more live action Star Wars and it's set with characters that we know, like building up to things, like to stories that we know, I want to see this level of quality where, like, the best thing about it, like, yes, everything is great about it, but it only enhances what we're getting, because now Rogue One is like 10 times better. Now A New Hope, the movie that is my favorite, like one of my favorite movies ever, my favorite Star Wars film, is enhanced. Like, how do you make a perfect movie even more perfect? You make Andor for it. And so it's like the stakes of A New Hope feel so much bigger now. Like, whenever I go in my marathons, like, Andor is going to be a part of it from now on. Like, especially because, like I said, going from the finale into Rogue One, that was an experience. That there was a reason why when you hit that finale, they immediately pop up on the Disney Plus app to play Rogue One. They knew what they were doing. Like, this is all just one story. I think that's incredible. But yeah, like, it feels like for every time lately that Star Wars has been having a miss, we get a hit, and it gets me back in. And like,
every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Exactly. And I'm never gonna be out of Star Wars, like, but it felt so nice having Andor feel like the end of an era, and hopefully
something important felt like it was ending that night, and that's not how I felt with the end of any of the other shows, really.
Yeah.
So I hope that we keep getting that feeling in the future, even if it's not the tone of Andor or 100% the exact same quality, because I don't know if we'll ever get a show like that in general ever again. It's like, that's such a rarity. But if we can strive for that quality,
maybe we can average out higher.
Just I really want just all of these other people to feel like whatever you're doing, like there's at least a way to do it well. Like again, just lighting a scene. Like let's really try to like make it look good, because interior shots of Andor is like, dude, this looks like a movie. This looks so good. This scene of like two people standing, like, you know, having this dramatic dialogue back and forth looks better than like all of the big special effects shots of like Boba Fett or something. Like it just do like, yeah, I don't. I feel like if they are aiming high, if the philosophy of these shows going forward is just like, boy oh boy, they took every aspect of filming seriously. Like let's do the same. Like you said, we're probably not going to get Andor again, but surely we'll get something that looks right, because sometimes these shows don't even just look right.
Yeah. And by the way, we haven't even talked about this, but the last 2 Star Wars live action shows have been really good. Skeleton Crew was really, really good. Like
I haven't finished it yet.
I haven't seen it at all, so that
it's really unique. I will say I don't think I saw the last episode. I think for some reason I didn't watch the finale, but literally every episode up to that point, it was really like, it was compelling. It was so fun. And it was well done. It was a really well made.
It looks really good for the most part. There's some like volume stuff every now and then, but
much more consistent quality than Ahsoka or, you know, Boba. It's on the higher end of the volume era shows, you know.
Exactly.
So I do think that, like, hey, we got Skeleton, we got the Bad Batch, we got Skeleton Crew, we got Andor. We're on kind of a like solid quality run here if we can keep it going. Hopefully, and I do hope, I really do hope that the fact that we have, it bodes well, I think, that we don't have a ton of shows on the docket. Like, we have a couple, but that's good. Couple is fine.
Yeah.
The fact that we have movies coming out and they're actually in active production and actually, like, we're getting trailers for them soon and stuff like that. Like, and then the fact that we only have a few shows on the docket for the next year, I think those are good things for quality control. Those are steps. Spread out your content. Because at one point, the mandate was across the board, like 4 shows a year, 4 movies a year, whatever, for the MCU. And obviously, the person in charge doing that stuff is not there anymore. So that's good. But hopefully the quality control gets better going forward.
Yeah, and I guess before we start like wrapping things up, with Star Wars moving forward, with the movies that we're getting, like, I want to have the same magic that I felt when I watched Andor and when I watch all the other movies for the first time in the theaters. I want that same magic. I'm not saying they have to. I don't need Mando to be the Last Jedi or anything like that. It'll never be. But I want it to be good enough to where, like, I'll want to revisit it. Like, if it can be like Solo level of good or something like that, right? And have that like magic, have that magic of, you know, seeing on the big screen for the first time. I want that. Again, my concerns, I guess, lie within the creatives that they have behind these movies coming up. But
I think you're sleeping on what's his name?
Favreau.
Sean Levy.
Sean Levy a little bit. Yeah, I think you're sleeping on him a little bit.
I don't know. I've got mixed feelings, because I know he's competent and I know he did great things on Stranger Things, but having him also be like the Adam Project and Free Guy and stuff and Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like it's another just kind of the hot thing pick, and none of his feature films are like, there's that blockbuster magic. This is the modern guy. Get him on Star Wars. Like, none of those have that to me.
Yeah.
So
I actually like Free Guy. You didn't like Free Guy?
No, it's not that. I'm just saying, like, that was a fun blockbuster kind of thing, and it's not like this guy has like magic. This is the guy where I'm like, to me, even though Free Guy might be like enjoyable and fun and all that, it's not like, who's gonna get me excited for Star Wars.
Yeah,
The guy who did Free Guy. Like,
yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
I just
that's
think
how I feel too.
But I just think of the stuff that he's done, and to me, he's gone kind of across the gambit of different films he's done. He did like the Cheaper by the Dozen movies, and like he's just kind of done.
Okay, never mind.
Like,
I'm sold.
Yeah, now you're sold, right? But no, he's done all sorts of stuff. Is my point. And to me, like his stuff in Stranger Things is legit, like super legit to me. It's not just like, oh, it's pretty good, it's fine, it's competent. It's like the stuff in Stranger Things I think is legitimately impressive, and he's directed a lot of the bigger episodes. So like, to me, I think that's the template. Like, I think that's what you look for with the Star Wars stuff. And I do think that he, like, if he's on his game, I think he could make a great Star Wars movie. Now, I'm not saying that he's the first choice that I would have gone with. I obviously I would, if he's not getting me as excited as if they were to announce that Rian Johnson's trilogy is going to happen for sure. But like, I do think that hearing that he's doing that after seeing some of the other stuff that he's done, along with Ryan Gosling starring in it, I can't deny.
Ryan Gosling starring in it is one of the biggest draws for me. And then I also really like the title, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's set after the Rise of Skywalker.
Another pro. Yeah.
That has me very excited.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I do tend to be really excited for it. I think Jon Favreau too is a great movie director, so I do look forward to seeing Mando on the big screen. I think that's going to be I think that could potentially be really great. So we'll see.
I think Jon Favreau can direct really well, and I think he could do a blockbuster really well because he's done it before. My biggest worry with that film is that he's just going to be using too much of the volume, and it's going to be more like his live action remakes than Iron Man.
I know for a fact he's using less of the volume. I've seen him talk about it. He's using more real sets. Like I know that that's going to happen.
Yeah. It's funny. The way you said it is the excitement and the fear, where you said like, it'll be Mando on the big screen, and like the excitement is, it's Mando on the big screen. The fear is that it's gonna feel like Mandalorian, but on a big screen. And so
but that's not necessarily bad to me. If it's a good story, just instead of a 30-minute thing, it's an hour and a half. Like that's good. To me, that's a Star Wars tone that I can deal with in a movie, that I can actually be really happy with, to have a movie that's in the Mando tone.
But I don't want a TV movie on the big screen.
It needs to be movie quality.
No, but that's what I'm talking about, though. I'm okay to have like an adventure. Like I said, I love Solo. To me, Solo is just an adventure movie,
Right.
It's more of that, like, it's literally going to look like Mando, but on a big screen. Which means to me it's going to look like the worry would be that it would look like a TV movie. Because to me, if it looks exactly like Mando looks, then it would look like a TV movie.
Sure.
I don't think Mando has transcended TV the way not even just Andor has, but just like, things like Succession, things like Severance, things like...
No, it looks like a TV show.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning. Is the worry is that it's going to look like the Mandalorian TV show? But
I get that. Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. I guess to me, like, I'm thinking of some of his other movies he's done, and any of his blockbuster movies that he's ever done look incredible.
I just wasn't sold on the clip that we've seen.
But don't judge it. Don't judge someone's raw footage of a clip that's probably not even finished yet. Like, I wouldn't let that be a concern. Not yet.
I'm letting it be a concern because it looks enough like the TV show to make me think that's probably what it's gonna look like.
That's how I felt too. And I know like both James and I are in the minority for that, but I kind of got a little bit concerned with it. The only reason why I'm not gonna like be like, oh no, it's gonna look bad or it's gonna look like a TV episode is because we are still a very long way out. We're still a year away
Exactly
from it releasing. For all we know, that may not even have been like the final version of that scene. They could have.
It's a great chance it's not.
Yeah.
Actually.
So I'm not like 100% concerned yet, but I am like I'm cautious.
Again, every blockbuster Jon Favreau has ever done has looked like all the money was on the screen. Like you saw it. It looked really freaking good. Iron Man still holds up.
Yes.
Even Iron Man 2.
Even freaking Lion King, which is a bad movie, it looks incredible.
I'm just saying it just to me it just looked like the Mandalorian in a way. It just put that out there. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. On the second hand, someone.
No, but because it wasn't even about like the like compression or anything. It was just about like it felt like a TV way that you do a long take. Like it's like it. I don't know. It looked.
There wasn't like. This is the best way I can put it. It felt a little bit too slow.
Yeah,
it just didn't have like the force and the speed that I would expect from like a film.
It just looked like a camera watching a guy walk around a set doing like cool things, but it looked like it was filmed the way you'd see like practice, like the rehearsals filmed, the behind the scenes, like where you're watching them train, but this isn't the way we're actually going to film it. It looked it looked like it was just like, well, we're keeping him in shot. He's walking over there. He's walking over there. I don't know. It didn't really.
Yeah.
It didn't speak to me.
All right. I guess we'll see. I'm still excited about it. I'm
not gonna reserve.
I'm a Favreau guy though. I think he gets a little too much hate. Not for he's not the best writer. I'm not saying he is, but I really like I like most of his movies, not Lion King. But I think
I'm an Iron Man 2 fan.
I think Iron Man 2 is fine. It's a little overstuffed, I think, but I like it. I think freaking Chef. I'm obsessed with Chef. I love that movie.
He cooked there.
He did cook there. And I also think his weirdly his version of the Jungle Book is awesome. Like, and he's kind of that was a kind of a baby version of what the Mandalorian or of what the volume technology is, and that was a feature film. So I think he's going to do great. I think on the visual front, I think it's going to look great. We'll see about story. That's the concern to me, more so. But I actually am really excited about just like a big version of a Mando story on the screen. That sounds fun to me, like a Mando adventure with Grogu. I hate the title. I'm with you guys on that.
The title needs to be changed.
The Mandalorian and Grogu is a bad Star Wars title.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, yeah, that's unfortunate, but I wish it wasn't too late for them to change that. But yeah. So I'm excited. I have a lot of hope for the future of Star Wars television. There's been a lot of up and down, with Disney Plus, everything. But I think with some of the Marvel stuff lately, with some of the things that have been coming out about how they're changing their philosophy for how they're doing television, I do have a lot of hope that that's going to carry over into Star Wars too. And, so I think, generally speaking, I'm very hopeful about this next era of Star Wars, and I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm ready. I think once we get a trailer for the movie, I think that's when I'll even if I'm not as excited for it, it'll still be cool. I'm ready for everyone to be talking about it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's time to wrap this thing up, though.
We're getting tired, y'all.
Yeah. But no, this was a ton of fun. Full month of Star Wars content, hours and hours
Fun. It's been so
chatting
fun.
about like one of our favorite franchises. And all of the criticisms that, we were talking about throughout this episode, that is all coming from a place of love and wanting Star Wars to just be the best it absolutely can be.
I love Lucas Star Wars. I love Disney Star Wars. I have problems with some Lucas Star Wars. I have some problems with some Disney Star Wars.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm a massive Florida Gator fan. I wear a hat every week, and I love them through the good and the bad. But when in the bad times, I'm going to be really mad at bad stuff, that stupid stuff that our coach does, or stupid stuff that it's because I love my team and I hate when bad stuff is happening or whatever. We should be allowed to call out the bad stuff that we see and celebrate the good stuff and be level-headed about it, So that's what I love about this podcast, where we can actually do that without offending someone, or offending any of us three at least. So I think it's really
the bricks and screws crowd. I don't know. They might get a little offended.
They might not like us too much.
But yeah, no, we love Star Wars. If we haven't made that clear yet,
I was gonna say, if that wasn't apparent.
Yeah, we haven't done 15 episodes on Star Wars already or anything.
Challenge accepted.
But yeah, before we go, make sure that you follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms for podcast listening. Join our Facebook group, Banter, Fodder, Film and Television Discussion Group. That's in the description below, in our link tree, so you can get all of our links from there. And then we've got a lot of fun things on the horizon, a lot of cool movies coming out. Superman was one of the ones that we mentioned, and we're definitely going to be doing a review on that. So stay in tune for that, because that's going to be happening real soon. It's kind of up in the air what we'll be doing next for a theme, or if we won't be doing a theme, but we'll keep y'all updated on that in the group. Yeah, go ahead and watch a lot of movies right now, because there's so many freaking coming out in theaters. F1, Jurassic World, Superman, and a lot more on the horizon. So go support your local theaters and watch those. We'll see y'all next time.